Okay, I'm sitting up here talking to myself then. Yo, my bad. I'm literally sitting up here talking to myself, huh? Peace to the family, peace, love, and light. This is your brother Blueport live and direct to you. Welcome to another episode of What's the Science podcast. This is episode 3. And I was backstage, I was talking, I was giving y'all all of these explanations, not knowing that I wasn't actually in the room. So, with no further ado, again, peace to the family, peace to you and yours. All right. If you in the building, let me know that you're in the building. Okay. I think I can access some of the chat through here. Let's see. Boom. All right. This is What's the Science, episode 3. We have a gift, a very special gift for the family this evening. All right. This has been a long time coming in regards to tonight's guest. I've been speaking about this brother in public for quite some time and the capabilities that he possesses, which is the technology, right, that will allow us to change our dependence on fossil fuels into, something more so water based. Okay. All right. So you guys can hear me. The visuals are clear. I got the background situated, right? We're streaming, right? Everything seems to be okay. And with no further ado, I want to open up the line for my co-host. Okay. Bam. There you go.
Yeah. What's going on, man? I'm not taking these glasses off for the rest of the year. So,
Okay.
again, so red.
That
I'm
exploration.
now very nostalgic.
You, you done found yours. You know what I'm saying? You done found yours. Everybody's supposed to find that level of frame that works, you know what I'm saying, with their face type, and it makes you, it puts you in that mindset. um I don't want to say a super villain because we're not. But
Uh,
I was looking at a video earlier, and the video they were speaking about Sun God. Is that the character's name? I hope I'm not
so,
doing right. You know what I'm talking about?
no, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. hmm I'll tell you right now. uh Sun
Uh,
Man.
some man. I think I seen A Rashid post something about that
Yeah.
maybe a little bit ago.
Yes, yes. Right. So they were speaking about, our generation grew up on He-Man, and our only heroes that we had at that time, were pretty much
Mhm.
He-Man. And in order for you to be in character, in order for you to, your parents brought you the toys, they brought you the shield, they brought you the sword, they brought you everything, and you wanted to actually really be in character, but you had to embody, this character, you know what I'm saying? But the most um overlooked aspect of that character, it was a white man. He was very white. You know what I'm
Oh, I know who you're talking about now. Yeah, 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 yeah.
saying?
Oh,
So they said
yeah.
a sister, she was out, she was on vacation with her children and her husband. I think they went to Jamaica, and she decided at that moment, because the child, he had all of the relics, he had, everything that he needed to get into character, but he couldn't identify with the fact that he was not white, and it caused a uh you know, it caused an issue. So as a mother, she said, let me solve this issue. You feel me? Let me bring comfort, to my child, and come through and tap in. And she created a prototype of the character that will become Sunman. And it was based on He-Man. It was just melanated. The brother is deriving his energy source from the most powerful energy source, which is the sun, you
Mm.
know. And yeah, I think that I use that whole dichotomy or explanation just to explain that, we what it means to be in character, and people might overlook that, but it's important. You know what I'm saying? Because once you're in character, once you feel comfortable in character, then you can tap in and get into imaginative space and do the things that, as me and you can attest to. Some people will only attribute to fantasy, even though we know that this is very much reality, right? And we
Yeah,
become the fulcrum point of where both of those things meet and converge. You feel me?
yeah, but and that's why I feel like it's important to you uh, certain things. Again, you know, like I said, and as a matter of fact, tomorrow, me and Red, we got a very monumental class that we're putting on at 11 a.m. Eastern time, called the Illustrious Illumination. So we're talking about a lot. It's going to be a scientific, high level form of information that we deliver to the family. And we're going to be speaking about none other than the sun, and our symbiotic relationship to it. And those who've been tapped in with me and Blue for a while, quite frankly, we've been having a convo with the cosmos. You know what I'm saying? So, the type of relationship that we've developed with the sun, has allowed us to be able to process a level of information coming from the sun, to be able to spot certain patterns that's happening in real time. And not only that, actually affect the sun in real time. I spoke about that briefly, in my lecture, the illmatic in the or stillmatic in the illest to bring the static. And I talked about it, so we're gonna go a little further tomorrow in the class, the illustrious illumination, and really explain how we are actually doing this phenomena. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all encompassed, with the conversation that we're gonna have tonight with the good brother as well. It's just far as doing something that, quite frankly, there's no charge to it. There, it's free, right? And we're again manipulating the sun and allowing it to adhere to, our level of demonstration. So, that's going to be a key feature.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, these things might seem very fantastical, to people that do not understand the science, but the beauty of it is that it's all science. You know what I'm saying? When you break it down and when you get to the nuts and the bolts, you feel me? It's science. So this podcast is called What's the Science? It's been a long time. We have not been here. Our inaugural episode, started out with Dr. Oyibo, and he kind of like laid the foundation for exactly what is the science, what is the melanated science, you know what I'm saying? What's the highest degree of that? And he's an individual who identifies himself, for having that highest degree, with the Gagut, grand, the God, the
Grand
God,
Almighty.
the God Almighty, grand, unified theorem. Okay, and if we can ascertain and identify the fact that high level intelligence comes from one of our own, right? Then we also have access to that overflowing, ever swelling reservoir of light and information. You know what I'm saying? It's all encompassing, it's around us. And tonight, our host is going to add some extra layers to that overstanding and that understanding. So you'll no longer look at the space around you as negative space. So when you do observe it as negative space, you'll understand how to turn this negative
Mm-hmm.
into a positive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And with no further ado, because I said this is an episode that has been 10 years plus in the making. When I met this individual, you feel me? I definitely you know, I definitely had a I had enough insight at the time to know what I was looking at, right?
Right,
And
right.
that's kind of like my gift, my ability to see things exactly for what they are before the world necessarily sees it. I have what I understand now, as the 43rd gene key. I have an inner ear. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I have inner ear ability. I hear things that are not being said and I see things that are not necessarily there, right? It's called vision.
Vision. Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So when I met this brother and I heard what he was telling me, you know what I'm saying? I knew that this was one of the paradigm shifting technologies on the planet that his brother had been able to tap into, you know, and I
Mm-hmm.
cannot wait to bring it to a broader audience because I felt that people would be as enthusiastic as I am to say, wow, this is accessible. Like we have somebody amongst us that knows how to do this and they can understand science on this level, right? Because to me, science is not complicated. Science is very simplified. You feel me?
Right. And just to add on to it, you know, this individual was bringing, the tangible evidence of technology that can really, benefit, the world in general, but more specifically our people, and also give them the concept and the idea that we can actually build out this equipment that they were using back in ancient Kemet. You know what I'm saying? These individuals that we deem our ancestors who are very intellectual, we're dealing with this type of technology, right? So we're in the age of Aquarius, and it's necessary for us to begin to build out actual hardware that is going to, advance us a lot further. And this individual does just that. The knowing of the mechanics of reality and how it operates is the next move. And as I stated, me and Blue, are very keen to understanding a higher dimensional level of information. And when it comes to manipulating our physical reality, so by way of actually replicating something physical, which is a piece of technology that we can also use to manipulate our reality, is very, very much important as well. So, we're going to bring on this individual. He's going to speak and he's going to deliver a very monumental demonstration of, what he will present to the family. And we're very excited for it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So with no further ado, family, I present to you my brother, your brother, a very, very good brother, brother ABEEKU Bey. Peace.
Peace, and greetings, all. Oh man, I finally made it here. Oh man, it's good to be amongst the presence. It's been, first off, I just have to say the monumental work that you and your brothers have done.
Yes. Thank you, brother.
I mean, it's just like I'm so grateful that I was to be there to bear. I bore witness. I saw it from the beginning, and
There,
man,
yes.
what an inspiration! I just wish, I don't mean to sound like somebody else, but I wish my brother was here because he
Yes.
started. It took me 13 years of throwing the information at him and having rejected because I grew up in a military family. So, being the youngest son, you don't teach up. It only, comes down my way. So it was an uphill struggle to say the least. And but when he got it, it was like having
Right.
Yahshua ben Yosef as your brother.
Hmm.
And so I bear witness seeing the information work, taking a soul that was dead and dying and rebirth it. Honors,
Hmm.
brother, honors.
Hmm.
And the beauty and the reality of it is that, you know, I am my brother's keeper. So, you know, there's no perceivable place that we can ever go. There's no level that we can ascertain, you know what I'm saying, without forgetting. Like we would never forget, we would never leave behind, you know what I'm saying, those of us that we know that are integral, that are part of our family, especially those that were there, you know, in the beginning. And your level of genius is something that always stuck with me. You know, I knew that it was a tool of liberation for our people. And if nothing else, you know, just like the ability for somebody to unlock their brain, because the eyes are attached to the brain. So, you know, I don't fault people for being short-sighted because I know that their brain is in conflict. You know what I'm saying? That they're in what they call mental slavery. That, you know, the actual apparatus that's responsible for engineering, you know, vision is locked down. And it's like, all right, well, we have to unlock it. And the only way to do that is by engaging, you know, and inviting somebody, you know what I'm saying, to see themselves and the potential that lies within. And that's what you were able to do. You allowed me to dream. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And my dreams always lead me. Why not? I'd be like, shit, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why can't we use water as power to fuel these particular vehicles? Why not? I'm sure that there's a scientific explanation
When
as
that was
to
the first one
that.
that got started,
Huh?
particularly when that was how the first vehicle moved,
Right?
1807. Isaac de Rivas, a Swiss inventor, made a wooden cart using electrolysis, produced hydrogen, drove the piston, moved the cart.
Yeah.
You've been
So
lied to, folks.
we ain't gonna waste no time, I guess. You know.
Get right into it. And I want to say before we start, you know, it's an honor and, you know, meeting you and getting to have this conversation with you. Blue has told me about you plenty of times. I've heard amazing things, you know, about what you do. You know, I'm a mechatronic engineering student currently. You know, so my background is electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and computer science. You know, so what you do is what I'm in the process of literally studying. And you know, I'm very enamored to be able to, you know, speak to someone at your caliber who's actually built something in real time in reference to things that I'm actually into, and you know that I love the idea of. So, you know, I just want to, you know, give you that, and like I said, I'm just honored to speaking to you.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And I have one thing to say so far is like, start building things. Don't
Mm-hmm.
wait. You know, as soon as you find, because that's to me, it's like when I study something, I need to build it because to read some of the things, the information that's available and not being able to construct it and make
Mm-hmm.
great use of it
Mm-hmm.
when it's readily available. These things have been around for decades, if not centuries. And, you know, you know, to see the hurt and pain leveled upon the highest technology, human beings upon one another, is just like, you know, I really have to do a lot of psychological suppression, particularly
Mm.
when it rains, because it is it is such evidence of just a society that has gone in the wrong direction.
Right.
And even though it has access to the information for whatever reason, whether it's fear or willful ignorance, it's one of the things that has disturbed me the most in my life. When
Mm-hmm.
I had a fourth grade teacher said, got it in class one time, said most people use 5 to 10% of their brain potential. And in my mind, I went, if that's true, and the majority mechanism for informing people is public school system, that means I need to get out of the seat and go find somebody to help me use 100% of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get to that until I moved to Harlem. and walked into the O'Berry Dempsey Center in January 1999. African move on every Wednesday night in Harlem, and you talk about a paradigm change. I haven't been the same since. I didn't get started. I consider myself only 22 years old because that's how long I've been aware of who began this process of discovering who I am. And so to have 37 years of my life go by and not know, but everything is like one of my teachers, Hakeem Bey, says, everything in divine order. So why did I start at 37? Because my love card is 3 of spades, and my planetary ruling card is a 7 of spades. 3 of spades is the artist card, 7 of spades is the faith card. So I knew that only from the study of metaphysics, from sitting at the feet of people like Dr. Valentine, Bobby Hemmett, Dr. Blair, I would be dead or in jail if it wasn't for them. And so, I hope everybody raised a lot of money for Dr. Valentine last night.
Yeah,
right.
He probably beyond everybody else. I got started on this whole thing with water because, shockingly enough, in 2000 and 2001, Professor Gabriel Yibo, writer of this document,
Yes,
the Grand Unified Field Theorem, gave free classes at the right across the street from Brooklyn Children's Museum on St. Mark Street. And I attended those classes, and he was the one who told me in 1/16 glass of water is enough potential energy to power all of New York City for a day. And I said, Professor, you mean we only need 365 16-ounce glasses of water and New York is good for the year? He said, yes. So in about 2005, when after Maurice Bey did not go to Brazil to go get a very lucrative contract that I built 7 devices that allow you to hear through your skin, he gave me a document on how to build your own hydrogen fuel cell. And as mad as I was at him, once I got that and built that, and then October 24th, 2009, first time I applied power to it, and I captured that product in a balloon. And when I put flame to it, it blew up like a black cat firecracker. You know how they say when you, before you die, your life flashes before your eyes?
Yeah.
Well, when that balloon blew up, what went before my eyes was all the death, all the destruction that oil and coal have caused the plants, humanity, and animals. Because one of the other inspirations was the mamas. And the mamas are a particular group of individuals who, even though they're male, they're called the mamas. And they're a group of people called the Kogi in northern Colombia, in the Santa Marta Mountains. They had, after the arrival of Rodrigo de Bastidas, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, arrived in the city of founded the city of Santa Marta, Colombia in 1524. He read an edict, and it's worth looking it up and absorbing that, because if you want to hear an extreme interpretation of the doctrine of discovery put into action, I recommend reading that edict that Rodrigo de Bastidas read. And basically the mamas or the Koji people said, no, we ain't going to handle with that. And they went up into the mountains, the Santa Marta Mountains, for 600 years. They had no contact. In 1990, they sent one of their Spanish-speaking brethren to make contact with the BBC, and they requested this producer come to Northern Colombia and record a message. And I highly recommend. This is one of the things that really kind of it ran through my being. It's why I feel I had that vision, because of the message that I received from the mamas. And so, as younger brother, I felt a duty to fulfill my impeccable question that I asked about 3 weeks before I got out of high school, Wild Lake High in Columbia, Maryland. I asked myself, what is the most revolutionary, nonviolent thing I could do with my life? It was about high noon at the top of a hill. And the message came, be the one or be part of the group of people to bring infinite energy to the planet. And so after 10 years of study in Harlem at the UCLA, University of Cornell Lenox Ave, and with the assistance of Maurice Bey giving me the document, Water for Gas by Ozzy Freedom, I was able to construct a device, and then with the assistance of Dr. Umar Shabazz Bey of the Washita Nation, put it in a 475 horsepower Ford van and increase gas mileage on the regular from 30 to 50, 60% on the regular. That van only does 10 to 11 miles per gallon. I got 16 to 18 on the regular. And from that, and with mostly oxygen coming out the exhaust pipe. In fact, I did a 7 hours of demonstration at an Earth Day festival in Baton Rouge, where I was literally sucking the exhaust out of an internal combustion engine for 7 hours. I'm probably more hoarse now than I was then, and it was an extraordinary experience. I was there with someone I have to mention, Maurice. I'm sorry, Marcus Wampner. He did a plasma device. He basically recycled exhaust back into the intake of a lawnmower, and using Bart's cream soda was able to make a lawnmower run on soda pop. So this is what we were doing, and this is like some of the, just a couple of examples, but it's a little bit of my story. I'm gonna stop here and I'll wait for a question, because I tend to just go.
Oh, nah, you building up. You telling this is your why, and a why is so important. You feel me? So yeah, continue. Tell your
Indeed.
story, man. Your night. Shit.
Yeah, no, and so after that January, when I walked in the United African Movement, and I introduced myself to the individual who was holding the camera, and that individual happened to be Baba Clemson Brown. People know him as Minister Brown, and he is the brother who started the conscious videotape movement. He in '74 at House of the Lord Church on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, Reverend Dortry. Minister Brown was looking for a church that had more of a revolutionary theology. He was tired of like a Doist version of Jesus, and so he found Reverend Dortry, and Reverend Dortry basically said, "We've got a revolution to start. To get a camera." And Minister Brown, I was so glad to be trained by the best, because the footage that man has, his basement is the Library of Alexandria on videotape for scholarly knowledge. There is no other source of our information that has the greatest capability to change minds and hearts, as I know, because it changed my brother's heart. It changed my mother's heart by putting these things before them that, back in the day that was on VHS. You didn't have cell phones, and it was, and so unless you knew somebody, you didn't, it was by the grapevine. We had our own. I mean, it was so gratifying when I moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 2011 to see evidence of the work done. To see in 2011 flyers online of Moorish conscious gatherings in Little Rock, Arkansas. That one, oh man, I can't tell you how. And just what was starting to happen in Baton Rouge, just like the DVD sellers. Oh gosh, because I was working with a DVD seller, Piggly Wiggly, near Plank Road in Baton Rouge, and was it Alton Sterling? I was just about ready to get to him, because I used to ride by the convenience store where he set up every day, because I worked at a company called Personas Audio Electronics, where I used to repair all their hardware. And and it was on the, I went down there on the invite of Dr. Umar Shabazz Bey, and a little bit about Dr. Umar Shabazz Bey. If everybody want to get their head rocked about what's in North America, please go to pyramidsinamerica.com. That is pyramidsinamerica.com. Get rocked.
I want to get that brother shout out.
And so
real quick.
Now, Dr. Bey, what's that?
I want to get that brother shout out. I don't remember what year it was. It might have been 2010. It might have been 2011, but I think it was before 2012. And he put me on. He allowed me to open up for him in a lecture, and I had to speak about Black Wall Street. And this was the lecture, the monumental lecture, where I laid out the true history of Black Wall Street, being the Trail of Tears, and why the Trail of Tears happened because of the Yazoo land fraud, right? The fact that they found gold in the North Georgia hills, and a lot of different affairs. They was getting whooped by the Moors and the Seminoles and what have you in Florida, and Georgia became a buffer zone. So yeah, shout out to that brother. Gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to open up for him with a monumental presentation. It still has reverberations to this very day. And his information, we were going on mound tours at the time, and then he came with, you know, a full list of them in the Pyramids of America map that he had. And he was just able to bridge so many different things together in terms of our hidden indigenous history, especially dealing with the Washita and the Moors, that more so here in the South, you know, which have been proven to be, by way of Poverty Point, Louisiana, you know, the oldest civilization in the Americas, the mound building, over 10,000 years. So thank you.
Yeah, no, and interesting about that, in Baton Rouge, there's the Montesano Bayou. Now, along that bayou is where they found the oldest known settlement. It goes 16,000 years. And I used to go do ritual there, because I also hike anybody who goes up that way, because it's just on the north side of the Exxon oil refinery. And when you go to that area, you're going to notice there's going to be a grove of oak trees. And something I've never seen before, they got a plaque. They're called a legacy oak. And I used to go meditate there, because it was things didn't go well because people wouldn't pay me. And I'm like, I don't give this stuff up for free. I didn't come down here from New York City to give this stuff up for free. I did not come down here to do installs on your truck and you be falling asleep when you're supposed to be reading the manual and understand what the heck is going on, because this is, you know, this isn't Walmart retail purchasing. This is, what was the article I was reading earlier this week, the one I sent to you? I mean, this is really dealing with 0 point energy. This is a very simple, basic device that has demonstrated, because I myself have experienced it. I did a road test one time, and Dr. Valentine was lecturing that day, and I said, well, he's going to describe the problem. I'm going to work on the solution. And so I did a test, and it was an amazing. I got 125% improvement in gas mileage. Now, there's something about the angle of the sun, both in the morning and in the evening, somewhere between 25 degrees and 40 degrees. There seems to be an energy envelope. And every time around that time, it was particularly when I was moving down to Baton Rouge, because I had the van and an 8-foot trailer. I figured I was carrying anywhere from 3 to 5 tons. That van only does 11. What it does, I did, I think, average about 12 miles per gallon, still carrying a 3 to 5 ton load. When it does top empty, 10 to 11 miles per gallon. So, you know, again, showing the strength of it. But anyhow, in the evening, it would just be, I remember in particular, when we were just leaving Atlanta, me, the goddess, and Nuntet, we're leaving Atlanta, and it was just like, I didn't even have to press the gas pedal. It was almost like it was driving itself. There's a phenomenon that happens with these fuel cells with the excitation of water passing electricity through it. It is it's something that there's a whole slew of interesting applications that you know, we have so much to experiment with. We have and it's so exciting because it's so wide open. So many people have, it's so open for invention, and it works. It's so simple to do, and that's the part that really knocks me out. That I've been doing this for over 13 years, and I used to play music, drums, in rock bands, alternative rock bands that, you know, wasn't it was kind of more mathematical music, and it wasn't the most appealing to the ear, but I was able to, that, you know, it was so much easier to do that compared to this. It is by far the hardest things I've ever tried to do in my life, and that's part of the reason why I've kind of like had enough of it, and I want to talk about it, because the world is suffering. They're trying to create a situation where they want to get people to agree that we need to drop a nuclear bomb. So I'm not, you know, it's time for the kids' gloves to come off and call out people who didn't help, and really calling everybody to help, because we have a great opportunity to step out of this system. We don't have to be here and take this stuff. The groundwork that Malcolm X started, and Martin Luther King, when he said that we're exiles in our own land, I really want people to pay attention to what a brother in Detroit is doing, a brother by the name of Ramzu Yunus, and the law that he's using. The international law is something that I was first introduced to by a brother you brought on, Brother Blue Pill and Brother Red Pill, when you was doing the blog talk, Brother Nasir Ali, when he went through the UN Declaration of Human Rights, the Covenant for Social, Economic, and Cultural Rights. And basically, we know we're not being helped by this government. We're not, by local or federal. And so long as we continue to participate, we're going to get what we're going to get. Now, I made a very crude joke about dead nigger futures and how our families are parlaying healthy males in their 20s for $4 to $6 million. And there's been no convictions, you know, very few, I should say. Now, I started my studies with Alton H. Maddox when he was educating us on the truth of what happened with Torrance Brawley and just other concepts of law, and particularly what he and Lewis Clayton Jones were starting to build on before Lewis Clayton Jones transitioned. And yes, I mean, there's a YouTube video you can find on Alton Maddox where he talks with Dr. Gary Imhotep Bird, and he talks about manumission laws. And it's, you know, we really, I don't know what he's been up to, but he was the first one who taught the psychology of law. And then later on learned with Hakeem Bey, Taj Tariq Bey, Rasmarai Bey, Ani Eid El, and Talib Mosiel Bey in the Moorish class. And so, yes, it's, we don't have to take this, and it has been my conviction, in order for us to get the masses of our people, we show them a better picture. And it's my contribution to say, you know, your car is going to put out oxygen. You're going to get 50. I mean, just to start, and this is a very crude, what you see on YouTube is very crude prototypes. It is not the finished product, but I'm getting 15 to 40% improvement in gas mileage, oxygen and water vapor coming out the exhaust pipe. The next stage is to monetize that and create a robust revenue stream. Now, I did the math for all of us in the United States using 2010 census figures. And we, theoretically, if we could put a hydrogen fuel cell system, supplemental system on every vehicle in our ownership at only 15% improvement in gas mileage, monetized into a negotiable instrument, we would create the equivalent of $28 million a day. And I've been saying this over and over for over a decade. I've been to the National Society of Black Engineers, once with one of Professor Oyibo's sons, the other time down here in Baltimore, where they had a contest. One of the questions was, how would your business positively affect the Black community? And all Moore's, I think about $240,000 a day. So, that was the thing that really kind of got me on this thought pattern, was the book Blueprint for Black Power by Dr. Amos Wilson. In that book, he points out so succinctly, so accurately, and it makes you want to do a Will Smith across the country to everybody who's not doing it, because he points out how much wealth we're leaving on the table by being disorganized. So with that, because I haven't been able to read through the book, because every time I try, I want to run out here and start slapping every lawyer, every businessman who's not really, because the talent test was supposed to bring us up. That's what the plan by Du Bois. But you never hear any of these lawyers talking about human rights law. You never hear them taking the perspective what Brother Ramsey Yunus is doing, or Elena Porter of the Pendle Center for Human Rights in Athens, Georgia. So we can step out from this system, and it's my thing to bring it as a better picture to take care of transportation, heating, and cooking.
Fixing the gap in my
Eventually, I'll
teeth.
get to electricity.
That's be life.
Say that.
I ain't gotta go get a Invisalign and shit. Yeah, man.
Nah. My motto is, if we don't build it, we don't buy it. That's what I want to be. And when you start with energy, when your production costs go to near zero, then it's only what's between your ears and what jurisdiction you have domain over to take the resources that. And now that we have the science of what Dr. John Malusky has done with the transmutation of materials, we really, the next landfills that we've been filling up for decades are going to be the next gold mines. Because when you have basically free energy, you then do the resource extraction, because there's a whole bunch of dormant resources sitting in those landfills that we've thrown away. And this is the wonder of scientists like Dr. John Malusky have proven. Fortunately, he died this past December. Fortunately, we have his son who's continued his work. And so I have to backtrack again a little bit because I met the people I'm talking about when Dr. Umar Shabazz Bey, after inviting me down to Ouachita territory, where I constructed and installed 6 fuel cells into the van. We drove that van from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where we attended the Extraordinary Technology Conference. At that conference, I met some of my scientific heroes, one being Dr. Dan Davison, author of a book, 35 years of his own self-funded research called Shape Power. Dr. Dan Davison, he's literally a scientist.
Yep.
And the other one is Dr. John Malusky, and his work with Superlight.
What? Can you
definitely
repeat his name?
Milewski. Milewski. Malusky. John Malusky, Superlight. Get your popcorn. He got a video on that one too. But long story short, we don't have to. Essentially, what Dr. Valentine talks about, materials being a step down frequency of sunlight. I can, with a with a microwave, ground up glass, a little bit of magnetite, I can extract about $180 worth of gold out of every beer bottle. We all imbue, we all have photonic light going through us. We all, you hear how we are stardust.
That part, right?
The cat's out of the bag. This is public, this is in the public domain. I'm not saying anything top secret. If you Google John Maluski and the phrase I just said, you will find evidence of him talking at length about it. Because his, that was his dying wish. He says we need, because he said, we need to switch to from electromagnetism to magnetoelectricity. All the scientists who gave us the definitions of things like capacitors, inductors, current, voltage, amperage, coulombs, capacitance, they all said, this is all, we're talking 1880, 1890, in 5 to 10 years, we're going to have free wireless electricity. It wasn't just Tesla. For my brothers and sisters in New Jersey, go to your Google machine and type in the College of Fine Forces. And you got some homework. Because they all, I think it was von Reichenbach. That was one of his things. The document I sent you, the basis for ether sciences. And we getting into what our ancestors, going back into the Nile Valley, because the book Giza Power Plant by Christopher Dunn, master machinist, went all through the Great Pyramid of Giza. He's used to dealing with 0.0002 tolerances, and he took his precision instruments there. He says, no, we couldn't even build this. You also had Joe Parr, the only one known to take highly sensitive electronic equipment and put it and spend a number of evenings at the top of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and what he measured is still top secret. So yeah, highly recommend, folks. Another book, The Complete Pyramid Source Book, edited by John DeSalvo. Get your popcorn. Yeah, it's a reason why they're fucking up Ukraine. It's one of the countries has applied more Kemetic ancient science than I have to say almost any other country I know of. Study what Soviet scientists did when they had to combat capitalism, because they tried everything. And so they went into the Akashic record, because that's, you notice when Napoleon bested, basically ran Russia through Egypt, he took 200 scholars with him, and they grabbed a bunch of stuff. And after he came back to Europe, all of a sudden you had radio, radio. You had all this invention started to spur up. So I'm just doing our ancient science, and it's it's all yours. To have brothers and sisters be scared of science is you got to give the devil his due, because he took the master scientists away from their profession. And one of the things I want to stimulate more than anything else in my lifetime is getting people into the physical sciences, looking at the dirt that's underneath your feet, and knowing that you can take that dirt and through some process make something useful of it. And this is what I plan to demonstrate when I get my lab. I've had a very unusual circumstance happen to me in the last year and a half, and I'm literally been living in a hotel room for the last year and a half. And so yeah, I've been living an inventor's life. I read enough biographies knew what I was getting into, and let me tell you, yeah, it happened. So this is the hardest thing I've ever tried to do, and we really need to come together, because it's probably really, in a way, the easiest thing we can do to liberate ourselves. Master the water, master the soil, master the plants, and make usable things of it. We are, you know, it's like Dr. John and Henry Clark said, you know, the world is information is the world's information. You've got as much right to it as anybody else. So don't be scared to read, which is a really, really big problem here in Baltimore.
To one thing, for the family, if you could define for the family, from your vantage point, what the 0 point field is, or what 0 point energy is.
Well, it's basically what Professor Yibo. It's like a mathematical equation that links the smallest bit of detectable matter to the largest heavenly body in space, and gives you the ability to, I don't want to use a pejorative term, but I guess guide it, if you will, to your own. You know, hopefully you are of a good character and a good heart, and you love life and balance. But essentially, you know, I'm just doing a small increment of Goggett. The book I have yet to master, and you know, there's that I've been able to accomplish what I've been able to accomplish with really no math other than basic, you know, watts and amps and voltage, you know, resistance. It's you know, once I really get in, once I get my calculus down, I mean, well, I think this goes for, like, I don't know how much this goes for now on Amazon, but for thousands of dollars, you can't buy it, you know, unless you're really going to put down 4 figures or more.
Right, and you spoke on too about the book. He only has one interview or one lecture on YouTube, or maybe 2 now, but he wrote the book Shape Power, and that is a very phenomenal.
Dr. Dan Davison.
Dan Davison, right? He has one lecture, and I can never find nothing else on him, you know. But he's a key factor in this as well. You spoke to Ukraine. There's another scientist named Nikola Kazirev, who is another one, you know, who they speak about a lot, part of the Soviet Union. And they actually pretty much got rid of him because of the level of intel that he was delivering. There's another scientist named
like Brother Kaz, they talk about him quite a bit in the Complete Pyramid source book.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
No, you're good. The other scientist named they name waves off of him, Alvin waves. He studied magnetohydrodynamics, and that's by way of generating electrical current through plasma, which generates a magnetic field. It's the same science that the Third Reich was doing with the Nazis in reference to the Nazi Bell, where they were able to build equipment that could defy gravity by utilizing mercury and plasma. And I can't remember the scientist's name. I think his name is Richard Reitgard or something like that. But that was a scientist who built the Nazi bell based on studying the stars and understanding that the stars are balls of plasma that have a counter rotation, a spin and counter spin rotation to them. And stars actually are powering themselves based on the 0 point. You see, we've been taught and educated that stars are functioning off nuclear fusion, but stars are actually transmuting and transducing power outside of themselves into the reactor themselves. Mathematically, they call that torsion tensor, by way of spiraling energy into the actual star itself, where you get the luminosity from. So this is where Nikola Kazirev got caught up at, because he was delivering information, you know, to that degree, right? And then also he was building equipment that imitated that. So that's when the Nazis then came in and started building the Nazi bell and things of that nature by studying the stars, right? So in this today, diving into nuclear fusion. And I've always said nuclear fusion is secondary when it comes to clean energy. That's not even necessarily the main goal for nuclear fusion per se. They understand that nuclear fusion has the capacity to manipulate time and space by folding it, spiraling it inward. Because when they built the first hydrogen bomb, they recognized that upon the initial reaction of the boom, the amount of energy that they calculated initially yielded exponentially a lot more than what they put down at the beginning, and they were trying to figure out like where's this extra energy coming from, and they found out that the nuclear bomb or the hydrogen bomb actually became like a what did they call it? Almost like a toroidal field. It became like a suction. It literally pulled extra energy from the 0 point into the reactor itself, and that's where you're getting the extra energy from. So that's what they're actually. What? Say it again.
Cavitation. That's what you're talking about. Cavitation. It's like cavitation has almost an infinite cop, and this is why the hydrogen fuel, like the fuel cells I build, are just on a very simplistic level. Occasionally, you'll get that type of, because that's the article I sent you, Brother Blue Pill, in this magazine, Infinite Energy, published by the guy who used to be head of all publications coming out of MIT, Dr. Eugene Malov. In 1989, when Pons and Fleischmann did their demonstration of cold fusion at MIT, and the scientific orthodox community slandered them, he was so disgusted with the scientific community, he quit his job as a tenured professor at MIT. You know, you get to read everything and say, yes, we're going to publish this, put MIT on it, it's approved. He quit that and did this magazine. I highly recommend everybody go buy every back issue you can, because you will never worry about how to survive on planet Earth once you have this type of information in your archive. But yes, you had the individual you're speaking of is Victor Schauberger. Callum Coates did a book about him called The Living Waters. He was the first. He was like, I guess in the modern era. I'm looking for someone from our archive, but it's so far as to date the best book best information about water. I haven't read, and mind you, I haven't read Gerald Pollack's book, The Fourth Stage Water, yet, but Victor Schauberger, he understood the spin orientation of water, and just it is the miracle substance. I mean, if there's good. I mean, it's 4 billion years. What's the end result? Water.
Right.
We live on a life generator. I mean, Earth generated water.
Right. And I own one of his books, Victor Schauberger. I studied him a while ago. And he's one of the few, like you said, who knows the sciences of the actual water itself, because he understands that water likes to take the centripetal convergence. It likes to take the longitudinal geometry toward counter space. So that vortex is the geometry that water likes to take, because water literally becomes alive. But not only that, it rejuvenates itself. It's literally pulling oxygen out of the air and rejuvenating the water itself. Thus, the water is naturally becoming alive. And then all the bacteria in the water as well is being extrapolated based on being over oxygenated, right? So water likes to take that specific geometry. I actually have a piece of equipment here, and I partner with a company who sells a piece of equipment that does just that. You know, it sits on a porcelain base that's magnetic. You sit it on the base, and you pour water into it, and it literally spirals the water toward counter space, or toward, centripetal convergence. But that is one of the features too in free energy and generating electricity as well. So Victor Schauberger is another scientist that the family. Say it again.
Yeah, see, I mean, because that's where you're gonna find just infinite energy. I mean, I can't, this is because this is I forget, there's an article called Politics and Science, and it talked about how our focus has been on the explosive aspect of nature instead of the implosive. And there's so much more on the implosive nature, and that's, I think, where we're going to find use of magnetricity again. And it's like, as above, so below. What our metaphysicians tell us: go within.
Well, see, yeah, and our ancestors were very familiar with the fact
And,
that
and another thing, just another thing. It's just go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say really quick. Another factor that our ancestors were familiar with was the dynamics of reality itself. So they understood that gravity was implosion, right? Because if we understand that we live in a torus field, if we live in a toroidal field with a conjugate geometry of the universe with force and motion versus inertia and acceleration is gravity, what they call today dielectric acceleration. So constructive wave interference is implosion. And there's a math to that. So the math that goes toward implosion is the phi ratio, which is the 1.618. That is the specific number that wave mechanics has to follow in order to implode. That is the solution to infinite compression, what Albert Einstein couldn't figure out, but when Nikola Tesla figured out, he understood that gravity is just dielectric acceleration, which is, like you said, implosion. And implosion comes by way of constructive wave interference by way of electromagnetism. You see, so with our ancestors understanding that science, they understood that they had the capacity to extrapolate charge from gravity, which is the 0 point, what we call, what they call the superfluid quantum space today, or, quantum soup, things of that nature. But yeah, it's free energy that they were familiar with. And that's what gravity is. Gravity is literally implosion of information, which is free energy. Mm-hmm.
I hear you. I mean, I was really kind of I have one of my teachers, Eric P. Dollard. His publicist was on Killer Free Show about a month or so ago, and I really like his description of gravity. And I'm maybe doing it incorrectly, but essentially, oh gosh, how do you describe it? Gravity is a resultant of the evidence of the ether.
Yes.
It's the orthodox science that doesn't want to recognize, but essentially, I think it's like the ether is passing through the earth. Oh God, how do you describe it? Oh man, I wish. Oh man, because that was it was such an eloquent explanation of and probably to me it seemed the most plausible one I've ever heard. I mean, I looked at more information about what you just described, but yeah, from what I understand, it's essentially ether passing through matter that. Oh God, how do you describe it? Why is it at the center of the earth? Why is it going toward the center? I forget what was, but the one interesting thing about the center of the earth is that I just found out the other day that the inner core and the outer core rotate in opposite directions.
Mm-hmm.
So as that would immediately start the wave agitation to create a toroid,
right?
Which would give you your north and south poles. And one, it is so yeah. I'd like to hear more. Read. What is the if you have any article to send me something about that, I'd love to read that.
Yeah, because what you're saying basically that spin and counterspin rotation in the center of the earth is what is responsible for creating, again, the conjugate geometry of the universe. The conjugate geometry of the universe is force and motion, which is space. That's the actual outer representation of the toroidal donut. Now, the counterclockwise rotation towards center is inertia and acceleration. That's what gravity is, counter space. And the geometry of counter space is hyperboloid, is a hyperboloid. But the actual geometry of force and motion, which is responsible for space, is the actual outer representation of the toroidal field. So like you said, that's where you get your north or your south pole, but it's again by way of the inner earth having that counter spin rotation to it. So that's key. And Eric Dollard talks a lot about the dielectric field. What is the ethers? What is the 0 point? What is counter space? Dark matter, dark energy. All that is the 0 point. All of that. That's dielectric. It's the dielectric field. And shout out to Kambada. Blue and Kambada did a very monumental build on words. And Kambada said it best. He said, Well, he coincided the dielectric field with the dialect by speaking. So you manipulate the ethers of the dielectric field by your dialect, right? So when you speak into the ethers, that creates a perturbation or gravitational waves, what they call it, but it moves faster than the speed of light. So when you're speaking, you're creating a disturbance within the ethers that is literally generating waves that is moving faster than the speed of light. What Eric Dollar said moves at 200, I think, 93,000 miles per second. The equation of that is pi over squared times the velocity of light, I believe, which means faster than the speed of light. But I think that's maybe where you're going with it as far as Eric Dollar. He talks about the ethers, but he speaks a lot about the dielectric field. And for the family, for the family, the dielectric field coincides to Ptah in Kemet. So when you look up Ptah in Kemet, Ptah represents that counter space or that dielectric field that we're talking about. But go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, no, you know, getting back to, I guess, the water, it's well, it is all part of water because it's this has a great effect on, you know, what we're talking about, and it's something to be utilized. I was just watching a video today. What was his name? But he was blasting, like, I think 1 centimeter or 1 milliliter of water and creating light with it by passing high voltage through it, and just showing just the luminosity, another quantum aspect of water. Gosh, I was watching it so much, I'm kind of like, I got my head filled up. But it is, we have access to, I mean, one of the things I really want to let people know about, because it's one of the things, you know, the powers that be wanted to keep us in fear. And one of the things I want to get people to kind of begin to really take a look at, that how here we're going to run out of this or that in nature. And I just want to get people on the path that, you know, we live on a life generator that is going to, particularly if we do what we're supposed to do, will all ride for us. And water is, I just a particular story that is particularly for people in New York City. This has kind of blew my mind because it was right next to Harlem Hospital, and it's something that again, you know, to consider what's beneath your feet, and, you know, cast your buckets down where you stand, because you never know, you may not know what valuable stuff you are standing upon. And let me go find this one. All right, I think this is getting warm. Yes, here we go. All right, talking about a gentleman by the name of Stephen Rice. That's Riess. And his work so far is finding water on planet Earth, and particularly he had a method of finding water in deserts that was, you know, really got everybody's attention in the Middle East. But anyway, another anomalous episode, one of the strangest to occur in the annals of construction engineering, took place in Manhattan in 1955. An engineering firm had begun excavating for an addition to Harlem Hospital at the intersection of Fifth Avenue on 136th Street. On St. Valentine's Day, we were removing a layer of hard rock only 12 feet below ground. Workers were suddenly confronted with an enormous outpouring of water, which rapidly began to fill the vast excavation. Pumps hurried to the site and labored day and night at a rate of 2,000 gallons per minute to keep the working area free of water. Particularly puzzling to the engineers was, during that cold winter months, the water maintained a constant temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and so pure that hospital chemists who analyzed it certified it could be drunk without chlorination or any chemical treatment. 1.25 billion gallons were pumped out of the hole until 12 stories of structural steel had been erected, and several lower floors were decked with concrete slabs, which provided enough weight to hold down the foundation of the new building against the hydrostatic pressure from the mysterious water. This is an article about, or the main thrust of the magazine, or this article is about water and its infinite potentialities, and particularly that article is about earth-based water and how we are water. It's like we have a hot center and a cool outer side. What happens when you take something, we give it centrifugal force, liquid goes to the outside. What's it going to do? It's going to cool. So after 4 billion years, what's the end result? 70% of the Earth is covered with water. We're not going to run out of water. They found, I think about a decade ago, off of every continent, about 12 miles deep, a low salt water underneath in the Earth's crust, enough water to encompass everything that humanity has drank since 1900. We live on a life generator. We're not running out of anything. They've got oil wells where they used to be empty in Russia, where after a while they're finding oil again, because what's doing? That's what liquid does. And so, not that I want to burn oil, but we live in a world of abundance, and we got to stop acting like, it's a lack and paying, what? I think it's the average 11 cents per kilowatt. Now, looking through my archive for this show, I came across an email from 2006, a company called Alternative Energy Holdings. I think it was through PezWiki.com, now known as PSN.com, Pure Energy Systems Network.com. And they made the announcement that they had developed a technology to capture a lightning bolt. And I think the company was located either Norfolk or Fairfax, Virginia. And I contacted them, emailed them, and says, "Hey, man, I would love to attend that experiment." And they said, "Great, we'd love to have you. It's going to be, And so it was March that I contacted them. It's going to do at the height of hurricane season, and basically about by the end of March, all of a sudden, gone. Now, if you type in alternative energy hurl today, you're going to find a company that's doing nuclear power in Idaho. There was another company that built a high performance car called the Scorpion in Texas. The guy who built it, he used to do dragsters, and it was outperformed anything on the road. Ever heard of the Scorpion?
Mm-mm.
So these things work, and one of the things why I feel we have more leeway to do these things, because it was another group that was doing free energy devices in Pennsylvania, World Improvement Through the Spirit, a real Christian religious group, but they do a lot of interesting work. Timothy Thrapp, their main engineer, does some really fantastic work. And one of the things they said in 2006, that usually every year they would have their lab where they're doing their free energy work destroyed. After 2006, when the United States had made such a pariah of itself by the exposure of the torture and the depleted uranium, the idea that we're indignant at, not that I, agree with Russia's done, but to, for what we did to Iraq, I mean, it's, But in any case, I forgot. I got off on a tangent there. The point I wanted to make. Oh wow, I'm 60. I turned 60 years old this year. I'm officially
You got
old.
it, bro.
So am I allowed a moment?
You allowed a moment. You know what I'm saying?
What the hell was I saying?
People told me, they's like, can I give you the attention, afforded somebody that's a guest on my show? And I'm like, are y'all taking notes the way I am? Right? I got a whole motherfucking page full of notes, and I do have somebody building out my avatar, the Netaverse. So I'm juggling, but I'm here. Trust me, y'all. I'm totally tapped in. Right? This is a very high octane.
Because
And
one of the things I want to kind of like to keep it culture, I want to emphasize a book, because we have to begin to take science and culture and meld the two. And
The
one of the
family,
most fascinating
they
books
want a book list. They want
that,
a book list. Oh, let's
was
give
that,
it to them. In the chat, they said they want.
I mean, yeah, email. Oh, do I have a book? Oh boy, do I have a book list? I made a point of
Okay.
that because I felt that in order to give, being that I haven't gone to a quote unquote college, I felt, well, it's important for me to write down the books that I've read, and so it gives, like, people knows what I've been sticking my nose in. But one of the books I really want to emphasize to our people is this book, African Cosmology by Dr. Bonseki Fukiao. One of the best, if you want to like have a cosmology that has no Islamic, Christian, Hebraic influence. The brother who wrote this lived in a jungle village where you visited that village. There was a mat to sleep on. There was food and water for you to drink and eat. He lived in a very, the type of environment we need to get back. We miss all of our epigenetics, once this brings us back. But this book here is combines a cosmology and a science that I need to go on a sabbatical and really go in with all this other stuff and combine the two, because particularly with Gaget, because one of the things I also want to say is look at our artwork, our indigenous artwork, because where would our ancestors hide the secrets but on the artwork of the most primitive people? Particularly, I want people to look at the artwork that the Mbedeli people do in southern or in Tanzania, what is known as South Africa, and look at how they decorate their houses. And as someone who's only did 1 year of electronics, but to me, I'm seeing circuits. I'm seeing waveguides. I'm seeing application of high science in that artwork. And so, and we can even, let's take it to where it's really someone who's a real master, Dr. Robert Gates, and what he's, his computer analysis to say that, okay, Akan symbols are mathematical language.
Yes,
so,
he said that. We're talking about
add this to the
Sylvester
pile.
Gates. Yeah, Dr. Sylvester Gates says that the Adinkra symbols are actually computer code, right? He utilized them to explain what a tesseract looks like at a subatomic level. When he he couldn't go no further. That's what he found. He found things that were replicas of Adinkra symbols that appeared two-dimensional on the surface, but they're actually 3D. And he compared them to a tesseract. So the science is there, and what you're talking about in terms of the huts and everything, they're all fractal, right? And observed from above, like you said, they appear to be computer gridded. These are what motherboards look like. They show the comparison even with the temples. When you take an aerial view of them, they look exactly like the motherboard. Okay. I posted or I pinned a comment down below. Do y'all want to tap into that particular comment?
Do people really? I can say yes. Yeah, I mean, there's I just we know from our teachers that spirit don't die, and I myself, I'm this go round I'm Pisces. I was born in March, and for me, I'm supposed to ascend to the next level. And so yeah, I'm all up into where this goes next, because it's like Dr. Valentine, Bobby Hemmett taught us, we ain't taking none of this with us. And so my goal, I guess, why I'm so passionate about water as fuel, because what I want to help happen, I want to help more of us disengage from this 40-day work week so we can have the time to breathe again, to put our feet in the dirt again, to, you know, be in the water, be in the sun, and really begin to, you know, allow these dormant geniuses to come forth. I mean, it is, you know, to me, it's just, there's nothing worse than a human potential directed to, you know, 80 hours a week. I mean, I know a brother now, in order to take care of his children, he's doing 68-hour week. I said, genius brother, you know, WD Allah, one from the nation of gods and earth. He used to be, you know, after like we saw, he used to, him and Brother Zulu, shout out to Brother Zulu, street soldier. He died, I guess, about a year ago. Brother Zulu, an elder, and WD, we used to, after the lecture, we used to go back to my apartment and we talk and discuss the lecture and break it down, and, you know, till dawn. And then just like, you know, because I was serious about when I moved to New York, I find out who worked with Marcus, who worked with Malcolm, and who worked with Adam Clayton Powell, because those are the three most effective brothers that came down the pike. And I wanted to go find the people who work with them to learn how to win, because I grew up on Air Force bases. So I was always around tactics and strategy and moving men and material from one place to carry out an operation. And I'm looking at where our people are. I'm saying, shoot, man, if I had to conduct battle where we are strategically located, you know, if we pop off on, like, you know, the Ides of Mars, you know, we're done by the 4th of July. And, you know, we are, you know, I want to see us be able to exercise our true power. I mean, I'm tired of seeing this week. I'm 60 years old, and I've seen the line draw on the sand by our people and back up when they walk over it. And I'm just, you know, I was in the square in 125th when on the second Million Man March, when we faced off against the cop with Dr. Khalid in the background. I was there. You know, when that second Million Man, when the Million Youth March happened in Harlem, the second one, and they told Dr. Khalid we couldn't march up to Adam Clayton Powell Square. Well, you know, Dr. Khalid, he went anyhow, and we followed him. And it was like a scene out of a Malcolm X movie. There was about maybe, I don't know, 100, 200 cops, and maybe 2,000 of us, not 5 feet away from each other, lined up. Dr. Khalid in the background, yelling out instructions, telling us, you know, we're not doing anything today. We're going to, you know, and it just like, I never felt like, you know, yeah, I felt like a man that day. Hell yeah. So I really missed that, brother. I filmed his last presentation at Harriet Tubman Center with Bob Clemson Brown. And because every time he spoke at UAM, I was an audio engineer at that time, and I was being theater tech, and where that time when theater tech, you were like 2 weeks, you're doing 16, 20-hour days. So, and every time he lectured at Oberia at UAM, I was always in one of those things. So I finally had an opportunity to be in his presence. And man, I you know, I said, like, you know, I said, when he gets back to New York, man, I'm joining the new Black Panther Party. And he was gone. And that was one of the things I have, you know, it was very frustrating for me, because they had a kind of like, come ask any question you want about the death of Dr. Khalid Muhammad at Brothers Bookstore on 128th. Yeah, I think it was 27. Yeah, 128th. And Dr. James McIntosh and Malik Zulu Subaz sitting there, and it disturbed me, because it just we didn't know how he died. We knew that home, he made love to his wife, and then he went on his way to the bathroom. He collapsed, threw up on a rug, and that rug that had the evidence of what was in his stomach was destroyed. And so we don't know what was in his system. And I was like, Now I grew up on Air Force bases. I didn't know nothing about you guys in the city. I was like, it was my brother and I. We always kind of like, we kind of like, it was like moving to, we were in all you guys who grew up in the city because that's all we were exposed to as young men, so far as through Hollywood movies in those days. And so it was just so disturbing that no one asked the question. And so I just, when they're about ready to stop, I said, I had to stand up. I said, like, wait a minute, are we revolutionaries or not? We just had our leader taken out and we don't know how he went out. And I'm like, shit, man, I'll deal with the guard. Let's go dig him up and get the analysis, because what happened to the youth after his murder was paralysis of analysis. And all that energy that could have been utilized was dissipated.
When I think about Hannibal,
And it would just,
when I think about a lot of the young soldiers from Harlem that walked by his side, Hannibal is doing life right now, for murdering another melanated man in the community that wasn't even his energy or his vibration. You remember Hannibal? Like, this was some of the most peaceful brothers that was with the movement, and a lot of the other brothers. I think about June Cancun. I think about a lot of these brothers that I seen suited and booted, that he had as part of his battalion. They did not make it. I look at Sinetta, and I'm like, well, who would he have been under the repetitive guidance of somebody like a Khaled, So we can see the effects of Khaled missing off the scene, especially in a place like Harlem. But they say that the way that we edify, our ancestors are to complete their unfinished work. So that's why we're here tonight. I want to make sure that you utilize the time on this platform to tell people that you have taken the information, created devices, tested these devices, what works, what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back into that conversation about what exactly can you offer.
The next thing is to create the revenue stream.
Operable devices, yes.
No, based upon our consumption, we can create all the wealth we need. And like I said before, and so I'm asking, for a movement to come about where we implement devices, because there's nothing. I was so overjoyed when it happened, when I proved they worked, and then when I stuck it in the first install I did with John Walker, who was opening MC for UAM. His business was driving, making livery cab service for our entertainers in New York City to drive them to and from their events. And so I put 6 in his Cadillac. You can see the video on YouTube, and got 40% highway and city. And I thought, well, in 6 months, we're going to be rocking and rolling, because the intent was, when Alton Maddox was teaching us, that we had this organization called the Federal Society that was making serious moves to control all the courts. And that's what we got today, a Supreme Court run by the Federal Society. And so that's why I kind of said, well, we need to create a revenue stream. And so I need people who know how to build things, who how to make things, who are not afraid to try something, who are not greedy, to start building these things. And and because once we create, because we have such an argument for ourselves that we can create a system for ourselves. It's like what I told brother, anybody who's been working the human rights, where we can separates ourselves from this country called the United States. I said, if you're going to try to get our people to move, you got to show them a better picture. And so my thing is, it's like I told Alton Maddox when he was organizing the Freedom Party. I said, every campaign worker for the Freedom Party, I will put a fuel cell system in their automobile. And so when they go around to convince people to vote for the Freedom Party, they can pop open their hood and say, I'm saving, 20% every time I turn on my ignition. And this is what we're going to implement statewide on the motor pool for the state, cities, and save you X amount, save the state X amount of dollars, and kick that back into either reduced property taxes, business taxes, enhanced services for the needy, whatever you need. And this is how we can create revenue streams wherever we are. And just basically where, we'll look at their oil and gas, go, no, I don't want that. I got something better. And we there won't be an argument. We just, you know, we'll be able to create our own. I mean, if we got our own energy, we know we can, you know, I mean, just with the lands we have now, we can make productive for near zero and just feed everybody. How, you know, I mean, grow enough hemp to build hempcrete cow houses. There's nothing we can't do. And so I want people to, you know, yes, you know, support me, but more than anything else, start building yourself. These are not hard to do. Cast your buckets down where you stand. I mean, why you want to pay $5 a gallon when you know you can build it? You know, take a mason jar and cut that by maybe close to 50%, and have oxygen come out your exhaust pipe, so you can point to your children and says like, "Daddy's handling it." You know, let's be men again. Let's take control of our domain. And energy is the first thing. You got energy. If there's no electricity for what we're talking on, there's no fuel for your automobile, your world's a very different place. And so to me, it's just like, you know, it's really, you know, let's get with the basics first, you know, food and energy, land, you know, housing, clothing. You know, we have to really accelerate this type of thing, because we don't know how long we got. You know, I love what I'm seeing, all the agriculture that's going on in our community. You know, all the black farmer, you know, urban and country things I'm seeing on the social media. How many people are growing things? It's amazing. And that was one of the first things I did, was go to the Black Farmers and Agriculturists Association. You know, I could, you know, at 20%, I could have saved them, what, 20 million a year, or made 20 million for a year based upon their population of farmers, what we still have left. You know, I have to say, you know, we are probably the most difficult group of people to do business with. You know, I've been at this for 13 years, and I've gone through investor after investor. I spent, until like my life was literally threatened, where I had people outside my bedroom door with, I had thugs with guns who were, because of a sister who didn't have a very positive upbringing, and thought I was trying to look at her because I was just taking care of my own business. She had her thug friends outside my bedroom door with guns to pistol whip me or worse. And so I had to go get a just over bro to save my life, because when I started this, I said, I'm burning the ships at the coastline. You know, if my family doesn't, if my community doesn't support me, this ain't going to happen. But I got to the point where saying, I'm going to die for this, for nothing. And I'm saying, fuck it. You know, I'd rather have this happen if I've got to, you know, but because the earth's too important to me. The water's too important to me. The most sacred time of my day is when I take a shower, because I'm in contact with all water that's ever been. And whether how perverted that water's been coming through Baltimore City pipes, I'm in that flow. Water has a memory. I can send information into that water. And I can't tell you how many times I've come out of that bath or that shower with new inspiration, a paradigm breaking idea. So, you know, I would encourage people to to experience themselves in sensory deprivation tanks. We need to get in the water and go within, you know, stop the external. I can't wait for my first treatment. I suggest that we start a whole culture of going in, and when we come out, we need to have decorations of like we're walking back into our ancient Kemetic glory, or ancient Kushite glory, or ancient Malian glory. You know, pick a period, more Andalusia. And, you know, so when we come out of these sensory deprivation, when we go within and tap into our Akashic record, when we walk into a new reality, we're walking into that vision that we used to be part of our everyday. we have to do things to. We are extremely psychologically damaged people, because I'm psychologically damaged. For what my family, grew up on Air Force bases. There was basically the military and sports. That was my culture until I moved to Baltimore in '84 and began to experience firsthand, all right, what are my people going through in the city? And for me, it's been like a anthropological study. It's like, because I couldn't understand. It's like, how can we have all this talent, all this, and we hate each other? We don't work together. What is it going on with ourselves? And one of the things I want to do is like, I want to provide a revenue stream to where we don't have to worry about where the money's coming from. Like I said, $28 million a day. Help me get that done, and clean the air at the same time. It's it's hold on a second. It's literally as simple as one of these. With this, I can make a car go further and pollute less. I can also, with this, make healthy drinking water, because there's a video I have on my YouTube channel, my YouTube page. You can go to ABEEKU Technologies HHO page on YouTube, and you can see the list of videos that I publish about examples of me utilizing this. And
repeat it so we can type it in. Repeat it, please.
That's ABEEKU Technologies. That's AMEXEM Technologies HHO page, and you'll see the list of videos I've shot. But one of the videos you will see of me demonstrating how you can use this to make negatively charged hydrogen enhanced water. And Dr. Valentine was talking about how he has a system where he does a similar type of thing. And the better water we put on our bodies, because the healthier you're going to be. I myself, when 9/11 happened, from the dustification of all those buildings, I developed a condition where I had compulsive itching on my tops of my feet, and it would only subside until it bled. Now, I don't.
Let me speak on that real quick. Right.
What's that?
Can I speak on that real quick? A young lady I was in a relationship with.
Yeah. Talk about 9/11.
She was in the buildings, and she was pregnant at the time. So the child that she gave birth to, he had that it was an acute case of eczema, but later on, we come to find out it was Morgellons, right? Because he had things that were living underneath his skin that now, because of the jab, we know about these nanobots, but they was been using that back then. This was the technology that was in that building, because CIA had offices in there. So when their devices got destroyed, and all of this stuff was in that smoke pile, whoever inhaled that got that in them. And a lot of people we know, transitioned and died from cases of cancer, things that they were calling cancer. But it was almost a 10-year healing odyssey that she had to go on to get her son, healed up. And it was strenuous. I was there for some of the journey, not all of it, but it was unreal. The things that she had to go through to abate the level of pain and the outbreaks that he used to go through. He used to have to scratch his skin until it bleeds, almost like he wanted to peel it off. And it was disheartening to watch this youngster go through that.
Oh, I could show you pictures of my feet, and it looked like I don't know, it looks like some just inflated. I mean, inflammation out the wazoo. I mean, it's just like, and I was like, I really got down with Dr. Sebi's routine. And until I found someone, I kept hearing about this. I said, like, I was about ready to go see a doctor. And I said, man, I keep hearing about this Kangen water. And that's what did it for me. I found someone, $30, 10 gallons. Within 6 months, I was healed. a year or two later, I bought my own machine, and I haven't had a problem since.
Hmm.
And so yeah, they definitely put something in. And this,
It's yeah, like it's funny you say that.
I
This
just
is the time that this was around the time that I started using the Kangen machine, and I started bottling the water, Soul Gold,
I
Sparks of
supply you.
Alexa. Yeah, you remember?
Yeah, I used to supply the water for you.
Yeah, yeah. We was putting that
Mhm.
good gold in it, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, but
Yeah.
his
Sea moss
and I
was
use
damaging, man.
to this day, yeah. So we use that with him, but he still needed more. He still needed more. And ultimately he was able to heal by way of healing waters. He had to go to Honduras. He had to go into the actual sulfur healing waters, you know, at the Usha village.
Yeah,
And she did some other things for him, but the majority of it did a lot of hydrotherapy went into that. So please continue.
where was she living when 9/11 happened?
She was in Brooklyn.
Where was she at when she was in
She
Brooklyn?
was she
Okay,
worked for
all right.
Verizon. Yeah, so she was downtown. She was right near the towers in the Verizon
So
building.
that's when like that's where the winds went. Was it? Did it come your way, or because it went out toward the bay, right? Mostly.
She had to run across the bridge, so she got engulfed with all of that smoke by having to
Yeah. So she got hit hard.
run
Yeah.
across the bridge. Yeah, to Brooklyn. She got hit with that wave.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm just kind of on a tangent because I just we have to have a history of these certain things, and because they've been running game on us for a while, on everybody. And one of the first things I did after I joined UAM, I came across a gentleman called Boyd Graves and what he was talking about in 2000. And this kind of correlates to what everybody's gone through the last 2.5 years. And this right here is the U.S. Special Virus Program. It was started in '71 by Richard Nixon. And this is the pre-runner to your COVID shit. They've been at this for a while. Boyd Graves, this and this is their flow chart. Now, how they put this shit together. I gave a copy to Dr. Valentine. He has the flow chart, and he actually read through the document. I think we gave him a copy. But when I hosted Boyd Graves in my apartment in 2000, and we went to every group in the city to let them know that someone's running biological warfare against you.
Hmm.
And so it, we have to stop being weak. We have to stop acquiescing to adapting to this toxic mentality. We have to separate ourselves. We have to. It's our right. It's almost our duty to do. It is our duty to do so because we know the statistics. 2050, we're supposed to have zero wealth. That's now I saw propaganda. I saw what a show was talking about all the black millionaires. I'm like, now I just laid out $28 million a day is on the table. For something to build this, I mean, literally could do with this if I had to. But with a little investment, I can improve upon this. And instead of getting $1,000 back every year, getting $4,000 or $5,000 back every year, you know how many people's lives that would change, and clean at the same time, which would spur plant growth. Lessen asthma rates, less burden on the healthcare system. You don't need insurance no more. You don't need medication no more. You just drink water, alkaline water. You're good. So we need to put this in operation. We need, it's like what did China, you know, we need a plan. We need initiative. Now I have to beat up some people because I've let them know about this and they have not done so. I mean, I've sent a video of every install I've done to Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Not one thumbs up, hello, great job. Now I know him and Professor Small's got a hotel in Cape Coast, Ghana. I heard the story when he was going to have a celebration, a big African celebration. All of a sudden, he had the chief of police of that jurisdiction show up, says, "You got to pay us X amount of dollars, or we shutting your power off. You ain't gonna have your celebration." Dr. Jeffries got on the phone internationally to find money to pay this guy. Is that any kind of welcome back home after 400 years? If we're going to go on that narrative. Now, I was acting chairman and vice chairman for the Fahanka Men's Group. And I read what the Council of Chiefs sent us for the land that we were supposed to set aside for us to repatriate ourselves to. And I never had such a, well, first off, the document, like, wait a minute, did a barrister from the City of London write this? Or did this come from the Council of Chiefs of Ghana? Because I'm a little confused about the language of this thing, because I really need the Oxford English, you know, the dictionary of English to kind of break some of this down, because what was written, and I have the document, I can, if people want to get in contact with me, I can show it to you. And so I'm like, you know, we have to get wise. We have to be a little bit more savvy. We have to stop enabling, you know, what it's like, the story came out, how Ghana is going to start making its own fertilizer and not buying it from Ukraine anymore. I'm like, how could you be buying fertilizer from Ukraine in the first place? I'm like, I don't know. I'm about ready to go off on a tangent. I don't want to go off on a negative thing, but
we're gonna call this a Dr. Sabi moment, man.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, I saw people ignore Dr. Sabi. I saw them ignore Minister Brown. I saw them ignore, you know,
and when people listen their feelings, right? And I'm like, the people that he calls out today, or the people that he called out that people are speaking about today, he showed me the receipts. He like, yo, I told him what I do. I showed him the receipts. You know what I mean? I told him that melanated people are curing AIDS. It's not just something that he took on and threw a cape on. He's like, yo, this is for us. Let's go. Y'all got the keys to the door. You the key makers.
New York State Supreme Court.
Right. You guys is at the gate, right? Like, all right, well, let me in. Let me tell the world what we do. So it's the same thing. Like, we're telling the world what we do by way of what our brother ABEEKU has figured out for the upliftment of fallen humanity. He got the charge the same way that I did, right? And we all got the charge individually to play our part and bring to the table what you think is suffice for the upliftment of fallen humanity. So now people is like, yo, bro, I can't even buy your products no more because all of my extra disposable income is going to gas, right? They got these.
Holla at your brother. I'll send you the manual.
These people,
shit, man.
They hit them in a global reset. You know what I'm saying? I can't, you know, I can't tell you how many ways they playing the people for dummies, flipping them inside out every which way but the side. And then they still falling for it. They still complying. They still going and spending their pennies on what these people is dangling in front of them. And they're telling them, they're telling them that the global reset is an energy reset to begin with. But now you got to pay amplified, ramped up prices for fuel that these people is telling you that they're moving off of anyway. So they just made their last cash out, emptied your bank, destroyed and decimated the middle class. And now they're only going to be having Teslas for people that's making $100,000, $250,000. No, a million plus and better, because you got to be in a whole different tax bracket. They're destroying the middle class, the upper middle class, and the lower upper class. You really got to have 10 million or better to even talk to them at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look, Elon Musk is like encouraging coup d'etats in Bolivia. You know, this is not the way to go. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the stories about like what the children of the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo go through to get cobalt to make these batteries.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, well, you know, all that, because it's like, you know, I'm like, yo, people, a friggin' mason jar. You want to have little children in the Congo going down in the mines, getting crushed to death, dying by the time they're 35 from mining filth in their lungs? We have a choice here. Please make it. I mean, I can't do this myself. There's 275 million registered automobiles in this country that could be producing oxygen instead of pollution. You know, I go up to the youth who doing the game on the corners. I put this in their hand. They said, "You think you can build this?" And they say, "Well, yeah, what's that?" They said, "That's a fuel cell. I can increase gas mileage 10 to 40, 15 to 40%, have oxygen come out the exhaust pipe. I can train you in 2 weeks. If you're good with cars, I can train you in a day. You can make $500 to $1,000 per install. That's $125 to $83 an hour. Will that get you off this corner?" You say, "Where's your shop at?" "I need a shop, family. I need a shop in Baltimore. There's a lot of youth out there suffering." You know, I want to heat houses. They got, you know, they got this Charm Cities Buyer Club that's like, you know, doing their part to get housing, help our people keep their housing. I'm like, hey, why don't you partner with me so I can build these heaters that run on water, and then when people get these houses, they're not paying $800 BG&E bills. We gotta think big. We gotta think. Is a problem we have in our community called short eyes. I know you guys have experienced it because you don't have short eyes. You know, the ideas and the genius that you've tried to get others to buy into to support you, like what you were doing, brother Blue, out in Arizona, when you had an opportunity to make a big buy. I understand that frustration. Absolutely. I've been through 13 years of it. I can't tell you how many times at 11th hour, 59th minute, I think it's going to happen, and all of a sudden, it don't. I've I invested money in this, that, and the other. You know, it's okay. This works. This works. You know, you want an oil company in a jar? Come on, family. I really can't. You know, how much more silver can it get?
Right. So can you tell the people, you know, how do they
you
go?
Gotta, like I said, it just.
How can the people support you at this point?
You vote. Well, I do have a Cash App. I do have a PayPal account. I do have, on all my videos you'll see on YouTube, you'll see my phone number beneath that. So if neither of those work for you, you can give me a call, give me a text. You know, I prefer phone calls because I'm old school. I like to talk to people. I like to hear the spirit of people's words. I can't tell your spirit on a text. So, you know, let's keep it vibrational. But my Cash App is $Thick Woods. My PayPal is Sonic, SONICK 371 at gmail.com. Yeah. And like I said, I'm in Baltimore. I can't say, I've never lived in a place that had more Moorish temples who want to ignore me. I mean, I spoke to Brother Romani L, who wrote The Negro Black the Moor, at Dr. Bey's house in Baton Rouge. Called him since I've been back in Baltimore. It's like, hey, I'm back, let's you know, he said, I need finance, I need it badly. I'm here in Baltimore. I went to the so-called executive ruler, Hakeem Emmanuel All-I, Grand Governor Morgan Bey. Now, those guys need to be taken before the court of lions with the muftis, because I had a sister in Cleveland, Ohio, who's the operations director for the African American Museum in Cleveland, Ohio, donate a Chrysler minivan to me. I had 4 fuel cells in it. I got a Morris tag that had no weight in this jurisdiction. Vehicle's gone. The guy who calls himself the executive ruler has absolutely impotent. And so, you know, Sheila Seabreeze runs a temple. Immediately started calling me a dirty Moor when I bring stuff to her. You know, people want to sit me down to one-on-ones, but they don't want to uplift fallen humanity. I don't know what's going on with the Moors in Baltimore, but this is supposed to be, you know.
I mean,
you know, I don't know. I mean, talk to me, because it's just like I've been here for 8 years now.
Can you repeat your phone number, good brother?
Yes, 410-349-7819. Again, that's 410-349-7819. I do have a Zelle too, so I mean, I guess I don't know if you could. That's how you use the phone number for Zelle. But
Right.
yeah,
But are you selling the contraption? Are you selling the hydrogen cell fuel?
No, not right now.
contraption?
I don't have. I need some infrastructure. I need a place to build. I have no place to build. I'm currently living in a hotel room, and I need to get into a row house that hopefully has a garage, or at least, you know, a basement where I can put a workshop and go to town. Because this is only one. What I'm talking about is only one of many potential devices that we can create, as well as effective microorganisms that is like gut bacteria for planet Earth that heals toxic soil and water, increases crop yield 20 to 35%, makes compost in about a month.
See,
Dr. Umar Shabazz Bey gave me some other.
I was, you know, we could set up a workshop, because, you know, individuals like myself, this is what I'm interested in. Like I said, I took it upon myself to go to school, right? You know, being in the conscious community and studying metaphysics and things of that nature, like, our people have gotten so comfortable of just marveling at a distance what our ancestors were involved with, right? And there's a fear that comes with actually developing something that's tangible, you know, that kind of, you know, reflects what they were doing, and, you know, pyramid and things of that nature, pyramid technology, all of that. So this is what I'm interested in. So yeah, just again, imagine having a workshop where we bring on 50 to 60 students who can teach and actually help them develop things of this nature, that we can utilize in real time. So with me going to school, you know, I'm like, okay, I have all this knowledge, I have all this information about pyramids and about what they were doing with electromagnetism. Let me cut out the middleman and figure out how I can literally or tangibly develop electric circuits and, you know, work with computers and things of that nature, because then that eliminates a large portion of people who would interfere with that process. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you're speaking this language and you're telling, you know, and inviting people on board as far as wanting to help you aid in developing something that will literally, you know, change the world, you know, there's a level of resistance to it. And I think, like you said, it ties into, you know, just a level of, you know, I would say confidence to a certain extent. But, you know, we got to start getting back to the original technology, which is nature as well. We got to start remembering and understanding that the body, the melanated body, is the highest form of technology on this planet. And once we can acquiesce to that reality, then a level of self-confidence will come. We'll be like, damn, well, if our bodies are semiconductors, and we take photons and convert it into bioelectricity, well, let me figure out how I can tangibly develop something physical outside of me that replicates that. because that's exactly what our ancestors did. When they observed nature, they said, what's the closest thing to God that we see outside of us? Well, it's inside. So let me figure out how the inside works. So then that way I can duplicate that on the outside. And lo and behold, they develop pyramids and all type of stuff that generates free energy. So, you know, again, it boils down to just inviting people who are serious about actually taking a step further, as opposed to just hoarding information and not necessarily doing something with it. So, you know, again,
Yeah, no,
yeah, we want to.
I mean, that's the thing that drives me nuts. Is just the amount of knowledge that brothers and sisters are walking around. It's like, why aren't you applying it? You know, I mean, it's just like, oh gosh, there was a point you mentioned I wanted to resonate with. Oh man, I'm sorry. I should be taking notes myself. I apologize. Oh man. Please repeat what you. I mean, there's a point you said. I want to like.
Yeah, I was. So
What
you know,
were
I was. Was it about the pyramid technology? It was about you know, I mentioned about the body being. Oh, well, what I did want to add too is the body. You know, the melanated body is photovoltaic, meaning we take photons or light and convert it into photons from the sun. You know, I referenced that. You know, I referenced the fact of, you know, developing electric circuits and you know, a couple of things. But yeah, workshops, you know, developing a workshop to where you can invite, you know, several students to then help and you teach them how to even develop these things. Yeah, that's
well, I'd like to see it start to make our own semiconductors.
semiconductor.
You know,
Okay.
I'd
Yeah.
like to see it start to experiment, like I mean, so far as like anybody who's around any areas that have a lot of mineral content, particularly of iron ores. I mean, we should be making a very crude version of transistors. We need to go through the whole process and like do low tech up into high tech, because when you take something right from nature and then you apply it in a technical sense, particularly an electrical sense, it's really liberating, because you begin to feel like, well, shoot, man, I don't need anything from anybody anymore. I just need a couple pieces of material of this and a material of that, because we need to get into like working on the formula that they found in Tanzania that made that steel. You know, that was 82,000 years ago. You know,
This is literally why I was
we got
moving
all
to
these.
Arizona. You feel me? This is literally why I'm moving to Arizona, right? Because the land is so mineral rich. You know what I mean? And you got access to copper mines. You got access to, you name it, it's the gold. You name it, it's there. You feel me?
And
Yeah, there's a European by the name of Cody. He's on a YouTube channel. It's called Cody's Lab. Now he goes all over, and I think he's in Utah or something like that.
Utah
and
too.
he's always going into abandoned mines and whatnot, and making his own mercury. The other day he made his own algae tube, where he just like very low tech. You know, another one that is really knock your eyes out, and this is for anybody that lives in the cities. Now, along the highways, particularly in the cities, along the bridges, your elevated areas, you're going to find a lot of dirt and dust along the side of the road. Now, if you sweep up that dust, and you can go to Cody's lab, you'll see a video on how to do it. You can reduce that dirt and dust into platinum. Because what's in that dust? The atomized platinum in your catalytic converter that everybody be going underneath people's cars and stealing nowadays. That gets atomized and sit along the highway. Cody's lab on YouTube, you see a video of him sweeping it up and doing an assay furnace and reducing it down, purifying it into platinum.
Yeah.
And this is part, so I mean, we live in a world of abundance.
And right here in Georgia,
we got to start to recognize that. Stop going to the Walmart.
Yeah, and in about 2010, 2011, I was out here, and my partners, they brought me to Indian Creek, and they were showing me, you know, how we could find gold. There was gold dust, there was gold specks, all in the dirt, all in the red clay. You know what I'm saying? Like there's literally gold in these mountains in North Georgia is where they found the gold at before they went west anyway. So we know that there's gold out here. That's certified, verifiable. But when I got to Arizona and I started seeing the similarities with the red clay and just the mineral richness of that place and the way that the red clay was cooling and healing, and I'm like, okay, it's red. This is evidence of iron. This feels like and looks like Mars, Sidonia, right? Sedona looks like Sidonia. And I'm like, why are we not making these connections? And I'm just baffled. Like you said, that they did such a good job that our people are not mathematically or scientifically inclined to notice what's in their midst at any and all times.
Right. And that's why I speak about, you know, language is a very important factor, because again, like we've been educated by a group of people who have a limited perception on reality in general. So we miss a lot of what's in front of us because we can't identify it with a word. So, you know, there's so much that we can't see, you know, and like you said, you know, we live in a state of abundance. The earth itself is a capacitor. You know, the ancestors documented that on the walls. If you look on the walls, you got a cathode ray tube on the walls. I mean, again, these individuals were very tangible and handy when it came to the electromagnetic sciences. So, you know, I think it's about people actually going on YouTube now and watching people build electric circuits, watching people, you know, build semiconductors and things of that nature, and then trying it. Even if in their mind they feel like they're going to fail at it or it's not going to work. And the act of actually putting action behind doing it is what brings on the motivation to continue to do it, because you're not going to allow yourself to fail, because once you do, you're like, okay, I got to try it this time again, then I got to try it the second time, the third time, and once you do it through repetition, you begin to master it and then develop it and develop a passion for it. And you know, it's just a never-ending cycle, but it's just about taking the step to actually do it. And I think that's the confidence that we.
Yeah, no, it because I can't, you know, I've like, you know, in the years since I've been doing this, and how many times I've like spoke to a brother, sister, and said, yeah, when I was young, I used to think of this, that, you know, it's just like, why'd you stop? You know,
Right.
Why'd you stop? I mean, it's just like, you know, I mean, you were on the way to like total liberation there. You were just, I mean, and this is the thing about it, you know, we really have to make sure, you know, that's one of the things I really try to hold on to now that I'm older, is that childlike wonder. You know, whatever I go through, it's just like I still get excited about, you know, blooms on in the spring, you know, when I see blossoms in the spring and just the beauty and just, you know, against, you know, the warming sky. Yeah, you know, I mean, Baltimore, I mean, there's so many crows here. I love crows, man. And I'm trying to get them. My thing is, I'm trying to build a better relationship with crows, man, because the natural world, even in the cities, I mean, that was a part of the where, you know, God's talking to you when you go do something like you go out to Queens, to where some guy who used to be in the Ton Makut, and you went out there with December 12th to their house, and you said, you're not going to live here peacefully for what you did to our brothers and sisters in Haiti. No, you're not going to come to Queens and live fat. Fuck you. And then you go home and you look outside your window. What's outside your window but a falcon? I mean, to me, that's when God's talking to you. He's like, you did well, son.
And look, let me expound.
So yeah, I mean, you gotta, you know, you can't be careful. You gotta go.
And let me expound on that really quick, you know, because I teach this as well, is that those experiences, when you run into what we deem coincidences, you know, in those moments, because naturally we're here to spiritualize matter. We live in a world that is physical, that's defined by, you know, certain laws, but then we're made of light. So how do you reconcile the two? Well, in those experiences, what you want to do is spiritualize the matter or apply a scientific language to the physical experience. So when you see a crow, when you see an owl, you see these nuances, what you want to do is develop a metaphor around it in real time at that moment by qualifying it to be whatever you interpret it to be based on your individual perception. And what you do in that moment literally is become a mathematician, a scientist, because you've collapsed the wave into a particle. You've literally brought the physical world with the spiritual by utilizing the grand unified theorem. And in that moment, once you do that, you create a threshold to allow the universe to see a reference point outside of its own existence that it can refer back to. And this is how you open up supernatural doors for yourself, because by nature, you're following cosmic law. And when you follow your own laws by qualifying something outside of you to represent something based on your own interpretation and perspective, that's how you open up supernatural doors. So this is what our ancestors did all the time. They seen birds flying in the air and they qualified that to be electricity on the walls. So when you see the feather on the walls, what they represented that to be was electricity. But again, who told them to represent a bird in regards to electricity? Well, they had to qualify it to represent something, but then they doubled down and found out that birds use electricity in the air to fly. So in Kemet, when you look on the walls, you see a feather that represents electromagnetism. The serpent on the walls represents mitochondria, like all these type of things. And we in our current experiences right now have the same concept, and it's supposed to apply the same principle through different variables of alchemy. And that's what you're literally doing in real time, is alchemizing the experience by qualifying it to represent something based on your own interpretation. So again, you made the reference of seeing a crow. When people see things like that, they're supposed to define it as such or represent it to mean something that they want to get something out of it from.
Indeed. No, it's just like,
Yeah,
we have to stop doubting that first thought and, take it to, its a logical potential. It may not make sense, but you take it there and you're going to find, you may find yourself in a really amazing spot. And to me, it's just like I have to say, what seems to go wrong all human beings that I've, kind of like, one of the things that's always bugged me throughout my life is people not taking advantage of, or just trying stuff out to the fullest. They're just, very self-regulated when there's no reason to be so. When there's, when you're experiencing, we're experiencing a world that is not just, is not even, and you're going to continue to acquiesce to it and, adopt the concept of lesser of two evils. And, we see where, my lifetime, what I've seen happen to this country, to the world, and just how people have continued to allow, when they're the many who allow, it's just like, we need to learn how to count, because it's just like, we so vastly outnumber those who are, not living for life. And I'm kind of like, it was, when I graduated high school, they said it was a landslide. They said it was a mandate from the people. 27% of registered voters voted Ronald Reagan in. That significantly changed the nature of this country.
of world history, not just this country.
You never, after, that's when we've had home. No, it's just like, I just like, I don't, I don't know how much longer I can stomach to be here in this country, because it's just like, a country of cowards. I have, to me, it's just like, you live in you got a republic, tomorrow you could have a nationwide plebiscite and say, we're going to take all the fluoride out of the water. We're going to have like voting be a holiday. We're going to spend no more than 33 cents out of every dollar for defense. You're the people. You're the law. All law is a group of rules that people decide to live by. The people you send are not, not doing the thing. And, you're going to take this shit, and they still, what was it? $21 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to count. God damn. I mean, it's like, and you know, I just like, you know, I got no words. I got no words. It's just like, you know, wake the fuck up, man. Water is fuel. It's this simple. You know, we don't have to take this shit. You know, we can write our own laws. We can, you know, establish our own jurisdiction. Once you got energy,
You got
it's
everything you
the group
need
of
right
people
there.
that hold sway. Everything you need. You can make your own clothes. You can make your own food. You can build your own buildings. It starts this simple, and expand this out, because it's like I said. He said 1 16-ounce glass of water. This is a 32-ounce jar. This is 2 days of energy for New York City. In this,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the book's been out what? How many years? 2001. 21 years.
And
I was just trying to get you guys. I mean, on the low hanging fruit. This is the low hanging fruit. This is the simple shit. This is the coming attractions. This is where we got, you know, gravity, anti-gravity cars, ladders to space. Not that we want to go to space. We heal everything on planet. You know, we can, like, you know, I would read an article how we can, like, you know, make nuclear radiation inert. Low energy nuclear reactions, Leonard. I mean, we need a lab. We need to start putting things together. We need microscopes. We need to look small so we can build big. You know, let's go. I mean, it's just like,
yeah, we got unlimited amount of energy. Again, like, you know, our ancestors dealt with forces of nature that they couldn't physically see, but they understood that we live in a cesspool of energy, a more rare or a rarefied version of water. You know, the environment that we exist in, what we deem counter space, is full of information, full of electricity, is full of energy. You know, they deem that the primordial waters of noon in chemistry, right? The universe is on the tip of your nose. You have all the answers right in front of you, but it's all about just, again, adjusting and getting familiar with the environment that you can't physically see, because the brain is only taking in 10% of the whole electromagnetic spectrum. So once we engage in a whole nother level of light, per se, then we can utilize technology that's able to even pull in invisible energy and light that we can utilize in real time. And that's exactly what this brother is doing. He's utilizing a device to pull in energy that we're not necessarily even familiar with, but it exists right in front of us. And once we can become familiar with this science, you know, then we can begin to develop, again, a level of, you know, not only enthusiasm, but, you know, appreciation for brothers like you, you know, and jump on board. You know, this is the next stage in our development. It's about physically building things that's going to outlive us, because we got to think about it. What is our legacy going to be after it's all said and done? What is our kids going to look back and say, well, man, my dad was building this. Look what's in the museum somewhere over in, you know, Kemet. Like, look what he did. Like, you know, what is his story? What did he actually do in 2022 and beyond to stamp our family in history? You know, and it starts now. So, you know, it's all up to us to really begin to get up off of our, out of our seats and really begin to, again, use our hands to start building things out. So I think that's the next move. I know that's the next move.
yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. Did you see the photograph they took about 2 months ago of planet Earth from space, about all the lightning strikes that happen on a yearly basis on planet Earth?
I feel like I can't
go to Yahoo. Yeah, just like basically, it would be the picture. The easiest way to find it would be the new capital of lightning on planet Earth, picture from space. Because and when you look at that picture, it's like, it drives me nuts, but it makes me happy at the same time, because there's not too much more photographic empirical evidence that we live on a big electric magnetic generator.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, it's
Absolutely.
like, and particularly when you look at a Kabulon, and no wonder that brother got a car to run with no external power, fly with no external power. When you look at the amount of lightning that hits Central Africa,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, like I said, Alternative Energy Holdings was going to capture a lightning bolt back in 2006. Kick your kilowatt per hour to 0.0005 cents. 1,000 times less than what you're paying now. That's your world. That's the lie they've been laying on you. Are you going to take that? Or are you going to get these active and build your own goddamn lightning capturing device? The information's out there. Let's put a couple nickels together. In what, 2010, 2011, we came together and we needed $20,000. We raised $32,000 and got Eric Dollar to a lab. And he's been tearing it up since. Highly recommend people look at Killer Priest. They had his publicist, Aaron Murakami, on Killer Priest's podcast, about 3 hours. And I'm so excited about that show because I know some young, pissed off hip hop kid is going to see that and he's going to look at his like $7.50 an hour paycheck wages. He's going to say, fuck this, man. I'm going to make myself, I'm going to like whatever necessary. I'm going to go find that information. I'm going to build me a free energy device. I'm going to go study Eric Dollard and Eric Murakami and, Henry Moray and all the others.
Yeah, no, that's for the family, because that's somebody who I study a lot is Eric Dollard. He's another one. Like I said, Nikola Kazirev is another one. I can't. If they type it into Google, it'll pull up. Nikola Kazirev is spelled like Nikola, Nikola, and then Kazirev. Another one, Victor Strasberger. We were talking about.
Spell that shit.
Hold on, let me.
Kazirev, yeah. You gotta help us. We can figure Nikola out on ourselves. On our own.
Rev.
Hold on, let me get it. Kazi.
That could be some interesting. That'd be interesting graffiti on the side of a train.
Hold on, let me get it. Yeah, so it's K.O. His last is huh?
Go ahead, finish.
Can you hear me? Yeah, his first name is spelled it's Nicolai, and then his last name is Koz as in zebra, Yrev. Kazirev or Kozirev.
Another book, important book. Even though Dr. Inky he says stuff. I haven't seen Dr. Inky's presentation about what he says is incorrect in this book, but Human Photosynthesis, incredibly important book for people who got heavy melanin. Because it's something that I'm excited about because supposedly, according to this book, melanin separates or disassociates or dissociates a water molecule more efficient than anything else.
In the mitochondria.
So the question becomes, how can I extract some of my melanin and put it in a fuel cell?
Right, in the mitochondria, more specifically.
So if I can achieve that, and prove that I can like make a fuel cell, essentially, make one of these, make a car run entirely on water. So that's homework.
Yeah, our body.
One of the things you got to check out and try.
Right, our body.
Because we are the energy source.
Right. The family study for that because our body, again, like he said, it creates water. You know, the mitochondria, more specifically in the electron transport chain in the mitochondria, and it's in the fifth complex. The fifth complex has a turbine. It's like a turbine that spins, and when these electrons move through these electron transport through this electron transport chain, it spins that fifth complex, which is like a turbine, which is actually responsible for your magnetic field that you develop as a human. But it creates water as well. So again, going back into the body, looking at how the body works. The body, melanin specifically, is photovoltaic. Again, photovoltaism takes light and converts it into bioelectricity. So when you understand these things from an electrical engineering standpoint, look into the mitochondria, see how it works, and see how you can actually get the necessary equipment to build something equivalent like the mitochondria. The same concept that our ancestors were familiar with doing. So I just wanted to add that piece into it. But again, study photovoltaic for the family. Photovoltaic cells. Photovoltaic cells. That's what melanin does. Melanin doesn't do photosynthesis. Melanin is photovoltaic. Photosynthesis, of course, takes sunlight and converts it light into sugar for the plants. But photovoltaism is when light is converted into electricity. So that's what melanin does. It converts photons into bioelectricity. Because people get that confused. They get photosynthesis and photovoltaic confused.
Question, Brother Cabelon, when you mentioned fifth complex, do you mean the ether?
No.
I mean, what do you mean by fifth complex? I was wondering whether
No. I know where you're going with it. I'm talking about an actual complex in the mitochondria itself. It's in the electron.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the actual mitochondria. If you type in fifth complex mitochondria, it'll pull up and you'll see a turbine at the end of it. That's where a lot of technology actually came from, by studying the mitochondria, because it literally generates the magnetic field that we possess as a people. And most of our mitochondria is concentrated in our hearts, in our brains. So when we begin to work out and build muscle and generate piezoelectricity through the body, it builds up more mitochondria in the heart and the brain, which generates a larger magnetic field. So this is why the ancestors would take all the organs out of the body upon transition, but keep the heart in there, because the heart is what generates the field. And the field needs the body as a feedback mechanism between it and the magnetic field, so that it can, maintain its integrity in the memory. But yeah, so if you type in fifth complex in the mitochondria, it should pull up.
Are you familiar with the new particle?
The new particle?
A new particle, ANU particle.
ANU particle. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's the document I sent you, Brother Blue, the basis for ether sciences. That's homework for everybody, because that one right there, that for me is like what I'm super excited once I get my lab to start investigating. When we talk about spin orientation and the ANU particle, they actually built a based on Schoberger's work, vortex that actually does, essentially it's almost hyperdimensional, so far as when you run water through it, so far as its effect. But yeah, we have, like I said, this is where it's like the precursor to matter. It has the etheric element chart on it, and it's super exciting. I mean, I haven't gone in depth because, like I said, I like to, I need to build things when I read them, because that's just kind of how I am. And I find it, it's one of the things I've been holding on to, really not reading a whole lot into, because I get really excited about, and I start be less than balanced in my behavior when I can't get my hands on the tools necessary to make these paradigm changing devices. But yeah, I would love to send you Brother Blue, if you could forward that document to him, because
I will get it to
I mean, this is a great point of investigation. because
Yes.
had this. I found this about, I guess, about a decade ago, and very people. I mean, the only thing I've heard anybody mention is, uh, uh, some of the scientists we talk like, who talk about this is another energy form, and yeah, it's a super exciting document that I think you'll find a lot of interest in, and particularly because it's in accordance with our ancient spirit systems, of the
Yeah.
Nile Valley.
Yeah.
So,
You know who Anu is, right?
again,
So
nothing.
yeah, we're gonna deep dive into the material. We're gonna utilize this episode as a convergence point so we can get you the help that you need. You're gonna be our resident scientist for our research and development. Me and Kibalan, we have an academy called NAGA, which is the National Asiatic Galactic Association. So you know this is something that we're here for you. We're here to lend our full support and edify your genius. And I've always told you this. I told you that I ain't leaving and not coming back for you. So this is me, extending that what I'm saying, that
Hmm.
lion call to bring you forward
No,
and,
I've been
and to let
stubborn.
you know.
I've been, no, I've been stubborn and kind of like, I've been like I said, I knew the power. I know the power of what I do, and I know it can be dangerous to do what I do, but the time is what the time is, and it's like gloves got to come off. We got to get free, because it's like I can't stomach too many other brothers being held on the ground and have some European put a bullet through the back of the brain, and not have like a war chest to immediately get justice on, where they kind of like, oh, we ain't gonna mess with those men no more, because they locked and loaded and they got money, guns, and lawyers,
Right,
and they ain't playing with us no more.
right.
And
So
this is what we need to. We gotta
until we
stop.
use
We gotta
right.
stop. Taking this. $6 million for
And my
dead
thing
brothers.
is, with paperwork, you can file some paperwork and you can say, "Oh, I reestablished myself," and they identify that the Moors have returned, and the stewards will hand the keys back, and that's cute. But what they're really looking for, because what they were really told, right, is your identifying marker is when they come back with the arts and sciences, right?
Hmm.
Then they have remembered, right? They have gained that level of remembrance. They're no longer going through entropy. They've actually restored themselves and they're on an upswing. And by evidence of that, they will know who you are and that you're back. The fact that you got the paperwork, but you don't got the science, that's not going to work.
Hmm.
You feel me? Because this is what we taught them and we left them with, and they holding on to be like, oh, we'll know them when they return. You know what I'm saying? Not just a name alone, but by their works, right? With their hands. We'll know the science when we see it. We'll know when they figured this shit out. So I know that you have a very important piece of the puzzle, and I wanted to bring you on this program because I know that, this young brother also has another piece of the puzzle, and this is a beautiful convergence of generations to show the family in real time how this thing actually works, the continuance of it. You know what I'm saying? To the ability to be a student and a teacher all at the same time, is beautiful. So we want to offer you the opportunity to bring your academy, your school, your teachings to this platform. We'll build out a module for you where you can give a course,
Hmm.
and the people will buy that course, as they're saying in the chat room now that they want to attend your course, your school. They want to be taught by you. So what better place to start than right here in the now? You feel me?
I love it.
And
That's
we
all we
will.
got, right?
Yes, that's all we got. The magic of the now. You know what I'm saying? Seizing the moment. So we'll be able to build out the lab. We're going to get you somewhere permanent as residents. We know that there's family out there in the DC, Maryland area that may have
Hmm.
some room, some space, an empty garage. Let this brother go to work. Let him create. You know what I'm saying? The thing that can actually
Uh,
financially
Believe me,
and free us up and give the men the necessary inches in the feet that they need to stand on their feet. You know, they like shit. We'll notice you. You'll be as
Because I mean,
tall as a redwood.
Yeah, fact. Yeah. Got some, yeah, again.
but you know, you hit on a subject. Good.
No. Go ahead. You're good.
Go ahead, Cable on. You got it.
No, I was just kind of gonna veg you back off of what
No,
Blue
you
said.
just mentioned about trees. You know.
Yeah, trees.
Go ahead.
Basically, I was just gonna veg you back on what he said. You know, pretty much you got a piece of technology that is evident. It's right in front of us. It's something that again will change the world, but we just got to take it upon ourselves to really adjust to just studying in books and reading and things of that nature, and actually putting things together, using our hands, doing the extra knowledge to look on how you can put these pieces, because I mean you did it right. If you can do it, then we can do it. It's doable. Again, it just takes a level. Right.
Follow instructions. That's all I did.
Yeah, and I homeschool my children, and my daughter specifically, she's 11 years old now, but when she was 6 or 7, I was showing her something very basic, taking a battery, a AA battery, and wrapping a copper wire around it, and plugging it on both ends of the polarity between the battery, and or wrapping a copper around a screw, and then putting the two ends of the copper wire on both ends of the battery to generate a magnetic field. Something simple. But when you do that, and I noticed once I actually started doing it in real time and applying myself, it then generated newer ideas in my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, if I can take a screw, wrap a copper wire around it, then put it on both ends. Yeah, it just, the sky's the limit at that point, because it's like I just created a magnetic field. I just generated a charge. So let me figure out how I can build something a little bigger that is a little more efficient, that can actually power something a lot bigger. So again, it's just about creating those new altars in the mind by experiencing doing something that may seem uncomfortable at first, but the more you continue to keep doing it, the comfortability comes, and just the amount of discipline and wanting to do it comes as well, because you'll develop a passion for it.
And again, y'all,
Yeah, it's like
as above the brow that this may seem or sound to people in the audience, remember our ancestors' technology was as simple as this. Right? We simplified things.
I mean, I mean, Nur Al-Men's book. When I came across that, it totally shifted my focus. I said, because I like I said, I was history. Then oh, science too.
Science.
And then I read that and said, okay, and then when I met Maurice Bey, he showed me, PezWiki.com. Oh man, it's just like,
one
in 1989 they did cold fusion. That's how long we should have been paying like 7 cents a month for electricity.
And one book
so
I want to
wasted energy to pay for.
Right. And
book?
real quick, one book I want to reference for the family. They may have it already. It's a classic. It's literally, probably my favorite book. But it's called The Ankh, The African Origins of Electromagnetism. I don't know. Have you read that one?
Oh, that's what that's what I was saying. That's what kind of took my focus from history, African history, that, whatever about us. I said, okay, if I thought I was lied to about, our history, what I'm reading in this book, let me start investigating science. And then shortly after, Ben Armstead, who I call the Pope 125th Street, and his awesome wife, Gail, introduced me to Maurice Bey, who was bag check guy at Staples. And he's the one who showed me, basically, he's the one who gave me a schematic how to make a device that allows you to hear through your skin, like we're talking now.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and see, I'll be touching on a lot in the class tomorrow. Again, family who's on, make sure, you know, if you follow me on IG, you can purchase tickets. But I got a class called the Illustrious Illumination with my brother Red Pill, and we're doing a demonstration that is high level, metaphysical, very science based, and I'm touching on a lot, you know, in reference to the 0 point, how the body physiologically we can access the 0 point and pull information out of it, you know, our relationship to the sun, you know, how we can process sound from stars, all of these things. So, you know, for the family who do follow me, you know, or who don't per se, I'm at Alkebulan _44. You can purchase, you know, the tickets in the bio, Red Pill, you know, go to his link, purchase it. But, you know, we touch on a lot of this, you know, tomorrow in class. But again, you know, you're actually presenting something that's tangible and physical that we can see in real time that, you know, will change the world forever. So, you know, this is where the conversation has to go. You know, science, we have to begin to start speaking science, just like the show is called, What's the Science? You know, so science is the next move, you know, with the family and really doing some very monumental things.
And water's the key. I mean, the more we investigate water, the more we spin it, I say. And when we investigate, you know, I'd like to make, according to what Victor Schoberger discovered, I'd like to start making a new form of piping for house, and you know, start to keep water in an egg-shaped container that's stirring it constantly, in a pyramid with a crystal, and just, you know, see how many people we can heal with that, with diabetes or fibroids, or, you know, go down the list, you know, what KT does, what Dr. Inky does, get people in sound bath, you know, sensory deprivation, to where we kind of like certain frequencies and just unlock them. Because I mean, it. I think that once we start to apply our ancient science again, we're just gonna just find, you know, quantum leaps of advancement, and we're gonna, you know, I'm looking so forward. You know, unfortunately, I have to, you know, there's no place local in the city. I have to go outside of the city to find a sensory deprivation tank. And but yeah, I'm looking so forward to my first treatment, and I'm, you know, what's going to come out, because I realize the days we're in, and it's just like, we need, you know, no more come back. We need all that all that information, and it's just like, however we can, any means necessary. And that, you know, in altered states, if like the European came out as a Neanderthal, what do you think's, you know, a Moorish, indigenous, Israelite, Chemite from the hood, once they start getting treatments? You know, how many of our people going to come out? You know, just, you know, it'll be a whole different kind of baptism. You know, and so yeah, I really, I think that's going to be very fundamental in our advancement, so far as getting our people to shut off the external and begin to, on a more regular basis, you know, really go within without any senses of skin, you know, breathe, you know, we're just kind of like, you know, we've got all this in here, and it just, you know, I know what happens to me at times. I hear examples what happens to you and your brothers, you know, through the years I've been paying attention to you guys. And, you know, when you go on certain junkets, you go into certain areas, certain energy zones, you carry out certain rituals, and the kickback. I mean, when you guys went to England, you know, it's, you know, yeah, like I said, I just like, I want to, like I said, it's, I'm like a kid. I want to go build something now. It's like, I had a workshop. I go build, because I'm turned up right now. I just want to, I want to make something. I want to like, you know, go into one of these books and like, okay, new experiment. Let's go build something.
It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably should play guitar, because I just like, I'm getting antsy now.
No, you got a house, you got a home here. Like again, NAGA, the agency that me and Blue got, National Asiatic Galactic Association, specifically speaking about science. So this is our forte. This is what we are. I mean, so you got a home here. Like that's without a doubt. It's amazing. Just as much as it's amazing, for you. Like this is it right here. This is what we need. So
Right. And I
Yo,
want you to start building. Yeah. Build on top of that enthusiasm. Don't wait. But reinforcements
no,
are
I'll probably write 3 songs tonight. But yeah, one of the people I really want to kind of engage in all this also, and please invite him, is Dr. Wayne Chandler. I mean, I just like, I saw his presentation, and I saw the top of his head. I said, man, I don't know what he's doing, but I want to know, because that just this part is white. It told me something because I had an experience. Dr. Bey and I had an experience out in Albuquerque where they put like a triple level Merkutz on top of his copper frame Merkutz, triple high. And both Dr. Bey and I, for the next 2 weeks, we felt like our heads were about 4 feet ahead on top of us. I mean, we just, the crown, we had the unseen crown, wearing it. I mean, it was.
I want to experience. Like I said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I may have to go for a long ride right now. You got me all excited.
Look,
Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and this is we talking about energy, y'all. We talking about water. You are energy, you are electricity, and you are water. So the excitement and enthusiasm is coming from the knowledge, the gnosis of self, right? Unlocking the secrets to who you are. This is not external information. We're talking about, imagine if we unlock the ability and capabilities of the water inside of you. This is how you become a super sapien.
Yes.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
We're all superheroes.
Mm-hmm. And let me just add this really quick. I know we going to the 3-hour mark, but just as far as appreciating your body and knowing that your body is a highest form of technology, I've already referenced that melanin is photovoltaic. The ancestors, in Kemet, specifically in Karnak, in the Valley of the Kings, I want to say they deified a ram, and you see a long alley with rams going down the alleyway, and up under the ram is Asar. Now, if you know the story and the science behind Asar serves as the underworld. He represents counter space, the reality that you can't see, that what we call today the 0 point, right? The quantum world. So what they were speaking about is the ram that's sitting above Osiris. They're talking about the more specifically third ventricle in the brain. And they're telling you that your brain has the ability to access the 0 point. They understood that the brain sits in a pool of plasma that's electrically conductive. And by way of creating a disturbance within the plasma, which today is called magnetohydrodynamics, that sound, the they told you to do that during meditation because that's what creates the rotation or the wobble within the plasma. And that disturbance is what sets up what you call electrical acoustic shock waves in the brain. And those shock waves, by short, is called standing waves. Those standing waves become a detector of the 0 point, literally transduce energy from outside inward. So through meditation and initiating a tone, that creates a disturbance in the plasma, which gives the brain the ability to access the 0 point. And that's a piece that I'll dive into tomorrow in class. But again, just giving you the acknowledgement that the body itself, the melanated body, and that your ancestors were very keen on understanding how to access what today we call the 0 point, which is full of information. And if you look in Karnak, again, you'll notice that there's a set of rams going down an alleyway. Those rams represented the 4 ventricles in the brain, and Osiris represented the underworld. So they're telling you your brain has the ability to access the underworld or Osiris. So I just wanted to add that piece.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, frequencies and sounds to kind of like one of the best tools I use to kind of really, if you're ever in, I can't say enough, and you don't have to buy an expensive one. You can get a bamboo one. I can't say what an important tool a didgeridoo is. What they call a didgeridoo, but a yidi yidi. But you do this, breathe. Just, you don't have to do the onion, but you just do this. And just breathe in and out of that, and you will just, through your chest, through your whole body, you will just vibrate yourself into a peaceful space. And particularly if you do it in a natural environment, particularly on a rainy, misty day, under a tree, it is just. And then how the animals, the nature itself, responds to that tone. And so, this is a very, very, very important tool. And I just can't say enough about setting a frequency for yourself to be able to just reset your clock, whatever you're vexed with. This is like, everyone should have one of these, because like I said, it is like one of the most calming things I can do next to taking a hot bath and meditating and maybe taking a bong hit. But yeah,
That's key.
you can do all that. You can get all that with naturally with one of these.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the ancestors were very much in tune to where they could hear sound coming off the pyramids and name the pyramids based on the oscillation of the sound, or the sound that was coming off the pyramids. The sun will have a specific rate that it'd vibrate. They could hear it and then name or rename the sun based on the sound that was coming from the sun. So tone is everything. Tone is everything. You know?
Yeah.
So,
No, in fact, that's, I mean, what was and it was Eric Dollard. Was it the I think it's like the quantum power of music. He did like a 2-hour, it's almost 3-hour lecture. He talked about the transformational power of music, particularly the human voice in choral settings. And this is where we need, this has been one of my, man, I've been so off the path to get to this. It was my intent to go to Dr. Valentine's University of Communication Sciences, to the point where I then can get taught by Dr. Ricchetti. So then I can learn Medu Nature and be able to implement those sounds, those tones, and do experiments with that, because it's in those tonal languages that I feel that we're going to find, we're going to move like 50-ton stones again.
okay. And again, really quick, for those who want to attend the class tomorrow, the link is in the bio as well, in this actual in the video. So those who are tapped into the live right now, you can go to the link in the bio or in the description, as a matter of fact, and purchase your tickets there. So,
and what time is it, Tom?
Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. 11 a.m. Eastern time.
All right. All right. So, any questions? I guess we've been.
Yeah, you got an honorary. You got an honorary ticket to attend. We'll shoot you that. To come up in class tomorrow, brother Biku. So you can hear some more information our brother Kibalon and Retta will be laying out. Now, there was a few questions that came through. Somebody wanted to know what are your thoughts on CERN. They just fired up CERN again. Their hunt for the Higgs boson. A lot of people don't understand what the God particle is. You spoke about the Anu particle. Are there any similarities? Did this happen in a conjoined effort? What are we talking about?
I think that thing is just it could be done a lot simpler. I mean, that's, I study Eric Dollard, and he kind of he kind of considers that a big waste of money. So yeah, I think it's like I said, I don't know. I really haven't spent a lot of time, because it's like I want something that's going to, whatever they come out of it. I don't know what they're. I don't trust it, but basically, I don't. I really don't give it. From what I think it's a waste of money. I mean, I'm going to go with kind of like what some of my teachers say, and I'm just like it's not it's interesting use of fiat currency, I guess.
Well, they're
Good to be on a
trying to
lecture.
basically you're trying to ram particles together to get to the smallest one. Basically, that's what they're trying to do, is run together two particles and explode them to where they can try to get the particle to or find the smallest conduit to those particles running together. But you see, again, they're teaching from a very destructive standpoint. Nature works in harmony. You can find the God particle
Right.
by way of, constructively embed an electromagnetic radiation. What they're doing is called deconstructive electromagnetic radiation by way of, of colliding particles. You'll never find, a God particle in doing that. You got to do it the constructive way, and the math to actually follow suit with doing it, again, it's the phi ratio, PHI ratio, which is the golden, what they call the golden section or the golden ratio. But when you add and multiply the wave velocity and the wavelengths together constructively, you generate, that vortex, what Victor Strasberger was doing. He was following the phi ratio, which is that 1.618. So that's the only way you can find the God particle. You can't do it by colliding together. It has to be through harmony, and the only way to do that is through wave interference.
Yeah, I mean, when you have cavitation exposed as opposed to explosion, you're going to get like infinite cup. Why waste your time running particles at each other when you want to do that?
Right.
It's because that collapse. That's when you create the toroid and this fissures where that's where you can kind of get interdimensional. That's
exactly.
my understanding, and so it's not about ramming things together.
Yeah, no, that you said it. It creates a level of implosion. It's like the cavitation bubbles. It creates that vortex, that suction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
but again, coming from the mind of individuals who don't, and not everybody per se, but the individuals actually working on CERN. These are scientists who are, who are, what's the word I'm looking for? Who like to, destroy nature. Let me just say that. The individual. Yeah. These are the people.
They're demonstrating the Iceman inheritance psychology.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are people who taught us that the sun runs off of nuclear fusion, that the sun works in harmony. It pulls energy outside of itself inside based on, again, constructive wave interference. But if we have the ideology that the sun is coming through by way of, hydrogen, slamming into helium and all, it's going to give us a different rudimentary perspective on reality, to where we begin to look at reality in a, deconstructive way as opposed to a harmonic way. So, that again.
And you see a universe of lack as opposed to a world of universe of abundance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Totally your your perspective, where you kind of have to hoard because there's not enough.
Exactly.
There's an infinite amount.
Right. Certain people. So the class 2 is pinned in the chat as well. For those who want to link to the class tomorrow, it's pinned in the chat. I just want to add that too. But
any other questions?
Let me see.
I don't know. I just don't see my concern. I mean, there's so many other interesting things that don't take nearly the amount of hardware that thing is consuming.
No,
and the question is about that CERN that they built a 50-mile diameter one, or halfway built in Texas. So the question is, it's like, what is the black budget for the Defense Department been up to for the last 30 years? Because supposedly there's a 50-mile diameter particle accelerator in Texas that they don't talk about.
I didn't even know that. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I think during George Herbert Walker Bush's administration that they talked about. They weren't going to complete it because everything was Texas when he was president. So, yeah, but yeah, that was because that's it's like I said, they did the estimate. Defense departments, but between 1998 and 2017 is missing $21 trillion. Can't account for. I don't know what's wrong with the citizens of this country. With that kind of number, and you're going to continue to.
We seen it right in front of our face on September 10th, 2001, when Rumsfeld said we're missing $2 trillion.
Yeah.
$2 trillion? How you miss?
We don't know where it went.
Accounting, how can your accounting not account for $2 trillion and then the towers come down and nobody talks about it because they turn around and get cut $2 trillion more for budget and defense and going to war and they just printed up another few trillion that they only spend a few billion of and all kind of stuff. I mean, where the people at, goddamn it, at the end of the day?
I know. I mean, it's just like,
right? This can't possibly be on us.
I mean, you see them out there, man. Anytime I've had the unfortunate timing to be on, I-95 between Baltimore and DC on a weekday, and these people doing this 5-6 days a week, man. I don't get it. I mean, the level of abuse of finance in this country is just, I mean, I'm 60 years old. I've been seeing this for, I started paying attention to politics when I was 9. And I'm like, what happened to manhood? I don't know. Because I just like, like I said, it seems like this has become a nation of cowards.
It's ugly out here,
I don't
man.
get it.
But we want to salute you for standing up and bringing solutions and remedies. And again, like I said, answering the calling of uplifting fallen humanity. This does not have a face or a race on it. You know what I mean? This is again, this is another grand example of someone who has lent their hands to Creator, right? To do the work, the co-creating work of Creator. He's part of the creator community because he's a creator. He's here utilizing his hands to uplift fallen humanity for the betterment of the whole, right? And everybody's feeling the pinch right now. Everybody has reason to say enough is enough. Yeah, the rent is too damn high, but so is the gas. So is the
nationwide
heating.
plebiscite, family.
Right? So there's so many solutions in this. There's so many answers. There's so many answers to your whys, right? Built into tonight's program. Please seize on the opportunity. Make sure you're making a donation to our brother, but more importantly, we'll have him back here. We'll structure something where he can do classes and teach this out. And ultimately, he wants to build something.
I want to go right to, I want people to get their breadboards out, get the soldering irons out, get their their drills out, their drill presses, get their clamps out. We're going to make stuff. We're going to make pyramids. Because if the one thing I want melanated people to start doing is start making pyramids. And you guys that shave every day, this right here, these little things, cheap ass things I shave I use these sometimes 6 months because I keep them in a pyramid. Keeps them sharp. It's that simple. It's made out of cardboard and duct tape. And I did a little artwork to kind of make it feel a little special for myself. But I don't spend much money on razors. I do not spend much money on razors because I keep mine in this. That simple. Made out of cardboard and duct tape.
I was like,
no, that's the power. That's shape power right there. That's shape power. That's the science of sacred geometry. Shape power. Yeah.
74 degree.
Yes. Yep.
74 degrees.
Has more of effect than a 52.
Right.
Oh.
So anyway, yeah, it's like yeah, I just like I said, get me in a lab, and yeah, I'll change your life.
So,
Let me.
like I said, y'all, this is a challenge. Let's see where your notes is at. Right, I wasn't just sitting around twiddling my thumbs. I was taking pages and pages and pages of notes. I'm gonna follow up, do the research. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go back over this episode and I'm gonna look at it multiple times. And also, I was somebody was they was making a whole virtual casting of my face
All
in
right.
the 3D realm. So shout out to Parker Drew that on Instagram. Go follow him if you get a chance. I had multiple classes going, but I was still able to intake all of this information. I got all this copper on, right? So my shit is electric, y'all. Don't do that to me, right? Yeah. Shout out to the Moors. Happy Muslim Day. It's the day of Venus. We do copper on Fridays and we do green. Right? I'm in
Oh,
alignment, and my brother got green on as well.
Brother Cosmo L out in Oakland. Now this
Oh,
is
that's
the
my
more
guy.
guy.
Yeah, that's my
Cosmo
brother
L.
from the Park. Shout out to Cosmo.
He's taken his temple, and if stuff breaks off here in the 48, he's bought land in Hawaii and is there developing the land in case something breaks out, something for his
Bro,
people to go to.
I seen that brother build from the ground up with his family. He had a lot of women around him and a lot of children. And I seen him build his thing up from Leimert Park. And he started writing them books and moving around. And these are industrious Moors. They make things happen. They're here navigating on these open seas, man. So shout out to my brother Cosmo L.
I wish he was on the East Coast. Or I wish there was somebody. I'm going to be like him on the East Coast. Help me, help me. My lab is temple.
Like I said, we're gonna build these bridges. We're gonna make these connections. Shout out to our good brother Hakeem Bey, wherever you at in the world, wherever you at in the spheres, in the verses, right? Shout out to my brother Hakeem Bey, the legend. You dig what I'm saying? And yeah, but we here,
And more science, indeed.
That's right. Morpheus. You know what I mean? But we here. We here with our brother ABEEKU Bey, and this is your moment, right? You did an amazing job here tonight, and there's gonna be many and plenty more that comes out of this. All right. We appreciate you, my good brother. And trust me, we got you. We see you. And we've never forgotten.
Well,
And it's
thank you for
it's
just
time to
creating a
take
platform like
time
this
to
for
build.
the genius of our community to come forward.
Yes, sir.
You guys have just done. I said, we don't have the vocabulary for what you guys done and what you continue to do. I just, I feel so fortunate to, just like I said, to see this coming together when I had no knowledge of who I was, who I came from, and coming to New York, and you guys let me in and let me sit amongst you and just absorb it all. And it was never a learning experience like that. And I want to buy a hotel so people can just come there and just drink that environment in, because it's a learning environment unlike any place else. Is difficult and flawed as it can be at times. It's still, no place like learning environment in New York City. So thank you.
New York is different, you know what I'm saying? And again, we'll be speaking about the fact that we was in a company of genius. Like, we was sitting right next to the melanated Nikola Tesla. You know what I'm saying? So it's not over. You know what I mean? I can't even stop long enough to take stock in the things that people say that we've done, because there's so much work to do. You know what I mean? So
That
I don't even
true.
get caught up in that. I acknowledge I get it, but I'm like, the work in front of me is like, whoop, You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It gotta go.
no, I need to enable you guys with a bigger bag so you can do more, because it's like we need to reach. We really need to kind of like we need to, we need an army of just knowledgeable people to like no, we're not going to do that. We don't have to get into because that's my other one. This is another one. This is a coming attraction. They have the science of semantics. My goal, what I want to do, so we can have 24/7 commerce in the hood. I'm going to make a frequency that makes gunpowder inert, so we can create a frequency zone around our businesses where your hammers don't clap, and that way we can enable the ones who are good with the hands this way to be the regulators, and that way you're going to have to learn how to do that 1-inch punch again. So yeah, and none of this like throwing hot lead at each other anymore. I want to create the frequency to make gunpowder inert, so we can kind of like, we ain't got to worry about hammers.
Right.
So help me get that one done, so we can have that kind of hood commerce, So we ain't got to go. I mean, here in Baltimore, if you want to get a computer part, you got to go out to the county. You got to go outside the Beltway. And yet the population's here in the city. If you want to get a decent paying job, 40, 60, thousand a year, you got to travel 45 minutes to an hour and a half by public transportation to get that.
In the home of John Hopkins, huh? In the home of John Hopkins.
Now
I know. I triggered something.
You got to read this one. You got to read this one. This one is a burner.
You know what? Yeah.
Oh,
John Hopkins. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
they wanted a
Bill
book.
Gates. Where his mansion is now a parking lot, but right across the street from that mansion, you're going to see a wood door and a stone wall. And that wood door leads down into the catacombs and the tunnels that exist all underneath Baltimore. And this is where your ancestors were enslaved. At the corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard and Pratt Street is where the largest slave trader used to have his dungeon. So if you go by Pratt Street and Martin Luther King Boulevard, start doing your rituals there. Tap in. I got a Yoruba ritual I'm going to do tomorrow night for the new moon, the eclipse. And so we need to know where our people were abused and go there and do rituals, tap in, listen, go into dream state, jump into sleep in the sensory deprivation, and because you're going to get a message back.
Say no more. My good brother.
And another one, because there's very few books written about this. This book here was written about policing in the antebellum South. Now, here in Baltimore, there are more free blacks during the antebellum South than any place else in the United States. So tell me how that works, how more free blacks in a slaveholding state. And this is about how the rise of your police, white vigilante, let me say that.
Yeah, can you say what the name of the book is?
The Men of Mobtown, Policing Baltimore in the Age of Slavery and Emancipation. The Men of Mobtown. Haven't finished it, but I'm on my 6th book about Baltimore, and I think Baltimore is probably the most fascinating city in the country. So many things happen here first, and just it's if you like history, there's more buildings on the historical registry than any other city in the country here in Baltimore. Wow. I mean, where I work at 5 days a week is where Baltimore Railroad started. And so every day I imagine what those rail yards used to be like, like the small houses, where the workers used to come from. They got the British Museum there right across the street. And, just barely a quarter mile is where the slave pens were. And you got Carroll Mansion. I imagine we got so much work to do. Like you said, Brad. I mean, Um, I mean, and I need people in Baltimore to show up because, like,
I'm gonna put some calls out.
I'm gonna
put some calls out. I'm gonna put some calls out.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, Baltimore gonna come together. Yeah, too many people acting like crabs in a barrel down here. To me,
we was just approached to come back there and do lectures. You know, Baltimore is one of the places we've done the most events lecture wise. You know, and Baltimore is a city that needs a cleansing. You know, it has that very dark cloud over it, and it's based on the fact that it has that buried history, that slave history. It was sex farms taking place there. That's where they was breeding. You know, that's where they engineered the nigger. It was in Baltimore.
I mean, yeah, the American Slave Coast, almost an 800-page book about the slave.
You know, we got Be More family. I'm gonna hit them up. I'm gonna bring some things to their attention, and I'm gonna I'm gonna allow them to book us to bring us out there so we could bring you, you know, in front of your citizens, your constituents, you know, the people that are right in your city that are always telling us how much, you know, they want to, you know, be involved and participate. Well, all right, somebody open your garage so our brother start building out the future in this present moment, you know.
Yeah,
say no more. We're gonna treat today like it's the 0 point, right?
All right. Yeah.
And just look forward.
No more negative stories.
Just gonna look forward.
Yes.
Right. The love and the support is here, and we're gonna harness that, right, as energy, and we're gonna power up, and we're gonna take it forward, and we're gonna reset and recharge the water in our own internal vessel because the water holds the memory, right? Let's change that first. And then you're going to see how you magnetize new water to you. And new water is going to come by the way of new people and new opportunities. That's a whole nother conversation about, you know, human fractals and the fact that we magnetize things to our magnetic pole, our G center, which is right here. It is very, it replicates. It's the same shit over and over. And nobody talks about how do you change your water inside of you, because it can't be a new you unless you tap into the new water. So how do we do that? That's a whole nother conversation. We'll approach that in part 2. You feel me? But in the meantime, in between time, y'all, yes, let's support our brother. All right, let's support our brother ABEEKU. Let's support our brother Akibalon tomorrow for the seminar as well. And we're going to bring this genius together. And we can finally see ourselves to be like, wow, right? Wow. Like the brother said, once you harness your power and your energy, you become all powerful. What do you need anybody for? You're going to start automatically building around it. You won't even be able to sleep. These ideas are going to be pouring through you, but you have to create the vessel, right, that can contain this information. And then the information will start pouring in once they understand that you now represent what? The container. Double cup. This is a cheap plug, but yeah, you know, it's water in here too, y'all. Don't.
Not no Jesus juice?
Yeah, you know, Jesus juice. It's water and gold. You feel me? And that's all we need. You know? That's all we need. It ain't the lean, it's the straight.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the opportunity to be in the company of such genius. You know what I'm saying? I'm honored to be in the company, just to be in the audience, to be able to bear witness to this demonstration. It's a beautiful thing.
You know, like I say, it's just I'm just.
They said they got plenty of room for you in Detroit. We got room for you in Atlanta, but we're gonna make it happen and be more. Yeah, we're gonna try to be more out. We're gonna roll the dice a few more times, and if not, we're gonna adopt you. And yeah.
Hey, you know, it has to get done, and I'm, you know, is even though Baltimore is technically my indigenous territory, because my mother's Okanichi Saponi, and Okanichi Saponi ends up on the southern edge of the Baltimore Harbor, goes all the way down to central Virginia / North Carolina, and so I'm living on my indigenous territory, and yeah, I'd like for us to organize so I can make the demand for back rent and taxes.
That part.
No doubt. Well, with that part, you know, again, it was an honor having this conversation, super high level conversation. Again, we're talking science, you know, but in this moment, we're talking about actually building something out that's physical. So, like we said, you know, that's the next move. And, you know, from here on out, you know, let's look forward to, again, encouraging his brother, you know, supporting them. And me and Blue are going to do everything we can to put him on a platform to where he can demonstrate it, not only to himself now, but in front of, you know, masses of people. So you're looking at the next Black Nikola Tesla right now. So, you know, let's do the work.
That part. We got you, good brother. All right.
You put a load on me there. But, one of the things I just want to say, just like because not only do I know how to do what I do with water, but because of a European recognizing my talent and making me the first person hired who submitted a resume, I work for a company called Basic Power, and we build a device for 3-phase high power electricity that will save any business 10 to 20% on electricity. It's like building personal computers before personal computers existed, except it's for electricity. And I did the math. We have the ability, you know, if we had all of our boxes on every electric out, we'd be able to save, what was the number I came up with? I think it's 75 billion a day in savings on energy. I mean, because I just asked the question, how much electrical energy does the United States consume on a yearly basis? And from that, I did 10 to 20%. I did 15%. Is kind of the median. And
right.
Yeah, we're not. Like I said, it's like, you know,
again,
we're here in Baltimore.
Let me take these glasses
I'm
off
expecting,
real quick.
You know, everything.
Let me just put this. I said, let me take these glasses off and put this on the record, right? Let me qualify my research. Okay. I just got finished reading the article by the Blackstone CEO, right? So these are the people that manage upwards to $10 trillion, right? And the 1%ers, you know what I'm saying, portfolios, like these dudes manage all global wealth accounts. So the CEO himself said, look, the unicorns that will be made in the future are all going to be made based on clean energy, right? The fourth industrial revolution, or what they call the global reset, is about converting the planet from fossil fuel use into clean energy. Now, if you want to sit back and allow them to define what clean energy is, it's going to be pretty much the same of what you're getting, right? Tesla times 10, or, you know, the shit that they doing, and they're going to slow roll you because they have to promise their trillionaire friends they're not going to make a quick pivot because that's going to disrupt the financial order. But what they're telling billionaires is that they say, look, if you are a billionaire now, we're going to show you how to be a 10 billionaire, 100 billionaire when we slow roll clean energy out. So this is the holy golden grail. If you into finances, my nigga, if you're trying to get a bag or a suitcase, this is where you need to be. If you are conscious and you want to save the planet, this is where you need to be. If you are into the Marvel comic universe, right, and you are just in your imagination, this is even where you need to be, because this is where it converges into reality. So this is the moment. This is an epic, epochal moment in time where we're explaining to you that this brother has not only, like he just said, he not only the water-based information, but also the energy-based information by way of, you know, I'm sure that he'll explain those particular contraptions as well. But it's just so much on the horizon that is about to bust out of the seams, right? Once this information grabs hold. But the information and the answers and the access and all of those things is amongst us, is upon us. This time next year, we won't be having the same conversation because everybody will be scrambling to get in place to be like, wow, I wish I listened back then. Same with crypto, right? And another holy grail for people that are, if you're trying to get into the business to make $1 trillion, right? Is to figure out, okay, the carbon footprint that Bitcoin mining and things of that nature is creating. If you figure that out, how to minimize that impact, the global impact and the carbon footprint based on mining, game's over, right? They're going to have to pay you in T's, not even B's. So let's get to work. If we say that we want to close the financial wealth gap and level up as a people and get respected back on this planet as being descendants or ascendants, because I don't descend from nobody. My ancestors expect me to go up. You keep telling me that I'm standing on their shoulders. How can I descend from somebody's shoulders I'm standing on?
Makes sense, bro. Makes sense.
Like with the bombs and shit, man.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Drop them. Drop them.
That part. So I'm a ascendant. I have to keep going up. That's what evolution was about. Supposedly, we got to keep leveling up. My ancestors expect me to take this thing to a place where it's never been taken before, which will return me to a place where it started, because they say that it's nothing new under the sun. We just got to return back to who and what we are. And that's what this information is about. It's a remembrance. You're reminding us of technology that has been on this planet from day one, right? And it's time to get back to that. You know what I mean? Because the narrative has been hijacked, but now we get it back. So again, I want to appreciate you. Feel me? I want to appreciate you for trusting in us and trusting in yourself long enough. Because what do I always say? Our people could create a spark, but we can't hold a charge. Right? Our people can create a spark, but we can't hold a charge. And that got a lot to do with their water. And the fact that their water is not structured. That part. So let's get this right, y'all. Peace, love, and light.
No doubt, family. Yeah. Well, with that being said, let's move forward. Let's do the work. So appreciate you, brother. And
Let's get this book active. Time to make this real.
Shout out to Professor Oyibo, well, very first guest here on What's the Science. He inaugurated, this endeavor. We couldn't do it without him. With his permission and his blessings or his blessings, here we are. And now we're here with his student, bringing forth a solution based on Gaku, right? So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's a sweet science and it's music to our ears that we have the opportunity to bring things full circle on this third episode of What's the Science podcast. All right. And with that, peace, y'all.
Peace, love, and light, family.
Peace, love, and light. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.